Joe, how's the cave look? Good.
Cave looks fantastic.
Are we taping? Are we live?
You're live.
Welcome everybody to week 9 of the high school football season. I am Casey O'Boyle with Northeast Indiana Game Night. Last printed issue of the season. Thank you everybody for reading and supporting Game Night. It's been a lot of work, but a lot of fun as well. Across from me is Jackson Geiger, producing the show behind the scenes. He does a great job. His goats are all upstairs taking a nap, and they're really well behaved. They're actually better behaved than my dogs. So that's why they're welcome here. Thank you, Jackson. To my left, we've got none other than the Killer Jace, 2/3 of the two of the Jays. Yeah, 3 weeks in a row. Jake the Snake Smith. Jake, welcome back to the cave.
Man, pumped to be here. A lot of good things this week, boys. Probably 780 milligrams of caffeine from our sponsor, Five Lakes Coffee. Had one on the way, had another one here. I'm probably going to fall asleep midway through this thing, so bear with us if I start snoring. Again, thanks for all the thoughts and prayers. My dad is home. He is home. Yeah. Attaboy, Gary. Appreciate your support of Game Night and in our football season. And so that's awesome that he's home. And also, Jackson and I, we coach over at the Indian Springs Middle School, and we have qualified ourselves for a opportunity for another Northeast State 7th grade conference championship against Belmont.
Woo, let's go, baby.
And hey, I just want to say to the 7th grade Belmont boys, if you guys are listening, first of all, good luck. We want a good, clean game, and proud of you guys for so far being undefeated. It's going to be a great, great matchup, but stick around. No matter what happens, you guys you got 7-8 wins under your belt. Stick around for Coach Nick Hall. He's going to need you. You guys are building something down there, so let's see some wins coming.
That's a good call out. Yeah, Belmont football needs to continue and in a big way, and it sounds like they've got some
pieces coming, man.
Good. Thanks, Jake. And then to your right, my left, the bronzed one. He
couldn't resist.
I couldn't help myself. He's half. Look who's making an early appearance. Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
Looking good.
He's half Lou Ferrigno, half Johnny Cash.
Yes.
Joe Walburn, welcome back to the cave.
It's good to be with you guys. I'm excited. I can't believe it's the last week of the regular season of high school football, but man, we've had just a great year of high school football. And how about the cover? Maybe the team that probably surprised me the most this year is DeKalb with the cover.
Go right to it.
Yeah, so the cover looks beautiful. Excited to be here. Happy. Glad your coach got a contract extension. I was a little bit nervous that Penn State might try to pry him away.
Well, I'm sure they were going to try, but
Coach Sig knows he has more business to handle down there. And hands down, I think he's the best college coach in America
right now. He's the hottest.
And dare I say it, maybe I'm a little happy because I had IU plus the 7.5 against Oregon. Dare I say it, I think IU's the best college team right now that I've seen, Casey.
Yeah,
well, they've certainly put together quite a resume to this point. We are going down. Maura and I have credentials for Michigan State homecomings this weekend, taking the whole family down. My brother's going down with his family, bunch of friends going down, so we'll make a whole day of it. And it was supposed to rain, but that weather forecast has changed. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be like mid to high 70s at kickoff, and no rain until the drive home. It's going to be great. Perfect.
And you might get some of that fall, some of those leaves changing down there and get that. But I tell you what, can't believe it's the last week of the regular season. And it's interesting because we've now had the sectional draws. And I think for some teams, it sets up well because some teams, the matchups this week aren't as tough, kind of like Homestead. Homestead has Concordia.
Yeah.
Then they have a bye. Then they have Hamilton Southeastern. For a team like Homestead, you almost have 3 weeks now where you can prepare for Hamilton Southeastern. So it's going to be interesting to see what teams got the draw with the sectionals. We're going to talk about that. But also, what a great regular season.
Yep.
And we've seen so many great performances by kids.
Pretty much all the conference championships are sewn up with the exception of the SAC. There's still some work to be done there. I think, right now, Dwenger looks like it's in their back pocket, provided the Saints take care of Southside, your alma mater. But we'll talk about that here in a moment. Let's talk real quick about this, and we might talk a little more college later, too, because I can't help myself. It's being an IU grad, it's almost surreal. If I'm being honest, it is almost surreal. And, you remember our week 1 cover with Sig on the front.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I had people poking fun at me, suggesting that they might make another run to the college football playoff. Forget that. They might win the whole thing.
They might win the whole thing. And then watching Penn State implode, I think IU and Ohio State will probably be
December
1
6th.
or 3, or in the
Big Ten championship.
The Big Ten championship. But it's funny. I was watching the game against Oregon, and I almost want to knock on my screen and be like, IU, is that really you?
Yeah.
That's
Isn't it
not
something?
like Alabama from 3 or 4 years ago with their D line and linebackers. You know,
Recruiting's only going to get better too.
oh my God, it's unbelievable to watch the front seven for IU.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible. So
Yep. No, Coach Sig's an amazing coach, and he just keeps backing it up. And they brought in some ducats today and paid him handsomely to
Yeah.
keep him there. So it's a great story, and I think it's just going to keep getting better.
and to finish up on that, it's going to be interesting. You know more than me. They're going to have to do something about that stadium. Are they going to be able to build up with that
They'll build
stadium
up.
or close it in, or
Build
how
up, and
because-
they need a new a press box. It's nice, but they'll probably level that.
good problems?
And yeah, real good problems. And they'll
Yeah.
like Notre Dame did, build a bowl all the way around, or at least 2/3 around, because on that one side they've got new construction
gotcha.
that they've already, like they have
Okay.
suites and stuff going on there.
Yeah.
But I think they can get up to 72 to 77,000.
really, they can get to that.
I
That's
do.
where they got to get now, because I think
agree.
they're about 54 right now. Or,
Yeah, low to mid 50s.
got to get to about 70.
If
or
you build it, they will come,
Correct.
and they're at that point now.
exciting.
Historical times, it's really cool. My father was a huge IU fan.
You would never believe it.
He Notre Dame, IU, like I am. Notre Dame football, IU basketball, soft spot in our heart for IU football. Always have.
Yeah.
And to see what we've seen these last 2 years is remarkable. It's never been done, I don't think, to this degree at any time in my lifetime that I can think of anywhere. Colorado, Kansas State,
Those took
Georgia
time.
Tech.
Yeah, those took
But
time.
they even then they were like
4 or 5 years.
yeah, or even their 1 or 2 years of rising to the
Yeah.
top were never this dramatic, never this where they went to a top 5 team and beat them on their field. That
And honestly,
it's
and dare I say it, dominate them.
yeah, they really did. The second half.
obviously he threw the pick, but my gosh,
Usually throw a pick six in a hostile environment when
He
you're an underdog.
responded.
You usually lose that game.
and he responded. But that
True.
defense is something else.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's
I'm
exciting.
sure the Purdue people right now are going to vomit. Oh, Jackson, are you okay? He's got a barf bucket over there. All right, let's enough of the Hoosiers. Let's get back into high school football. Let's talk briefly about the cover. First of all, hats off to Jameson Roach, man. I love that kid. I mean, and I love these programs. East Noble's one of them too, where they play their dudes on both sides of the ball.
Yep.
I mean, so he's playing safety and racking up tackles and sticking his nose in there. But man, he had a great game last week in that impressive win over Bluffton. So well-deserved is the junior quarterback from Adams Central as our player of the week. And then that cover I thought was fantastic. Reggie Telemack put that together. These are the 4 guys I think for DeKalb football that really define this program this year. They're all seniors: Xavier Bell, Eli McCormick, Brady Culler, and Noah Spears. These are the guys, 2 receivers, a quarterback, and a running back that are putting up the big numbers this year. The defense does a lot of great things too. And what a story. I think Ryan Robertson, first-year coach out there, has really put together a quality season for DeKalb. So hats off to the Barons. This was a fun cover, and this is a great game that we'll talk about here in a few moments. So any thoughts on the cover? I know you love the covers.
Loved
Bless
the
you.
cover. Loved to see those kids on there. And what's interesting, when you look at Bell, McCormick, Culler, and Spears, I think that's what's give Robertson, and Jake, you can help me with this. I think that's what's helped Robertson with this spread, being able to attack different ways.
Yes.
And I really like what he's done with the spread. And honestly, to me, I think DeKalb is the biggest surprise in high school football. This
Mhm.
year, I thought Robertson would have some success, but I thought it might take a little bit. But the way he's brought in the spread, the way the kids have bought in, it's just really been impressive. And when you watch their tape, they really know how to attack.
Yes.
And they also have the ability to bring in an H-back and run the ball. So I like what the coaching is with DeKalb, what DeKalb's doing. And I just think it's exciting to see all of a sudden DeKalb really rise up and have a program again.
And get a cover. I mean, we try to spread it around, and
totally.
and this past week, I'll be honest with you, I was like, man, I didn't. A lot of times I can see sometimes a theme or something a week
Sure.
or two in advance. Didn't really for this particular week because a lot of the conference championships were
Yeah.
decided. But this works and this makes sense. And we'll talk more about this game in a minute because they got Leo this week.
Well, I think it's a great cover because they've got Leo. Then all of a sudden, we're going to roll in and talk about the sectionals.
Yep.
I mean, the meat is really on the bone the next few weeks for DeKalb. So I think your cover is timely.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. It was a great, really fun cover and a good way to wrap up the printed season for game night. All right, my column, and we can just discuss this briefly on page 2 this week, talked a little bit. I mean, you guys know I love to eat. I love my sweets, but I talked about some of those underdog stories, and DeKalb's one of them. Northrop certainly is one of them. If they had beaten Carroll,
Yes.
they definitely would have been, I think, the top dog in that regard. But still, what Coach Quentin Bowen's done at Northrop is pretty remarkable.
Sure.
And then Cherubusco. I think you look at their run, and they won 5 in a row, including a win over Eastside, and then to beat West Noble last week.
Undisputed NCC champs.
So they got exactly in Turtletown, the Fighting Turtles. They got the Swami brought them a stack of pizzas from D'Antonio's, which, by the way, we had some upstairs tonight.
Yes,
delicious.
You're in training. You just kind of nibbled a little bit on the corners.
I'm trying to watch it.
I ate Joe's
but I
share.
loaded up on Joe's carbs. That's for sure. And Annie and Archie got his crust. But I think Coach Stay's done a great job. Those are, to me, I'm sure there's some other stories. I mean, Eastside should be in that conversation, maybe too. Maybe Bishop Dwenger. They've had a nice rebound season. AC's that's still the team in that conference. Bluffton would have been part of this conversation had they won a week ago. But I think those are the 3 feel-good stories right now. Would you agree?
I totally agree. I think that I thought too the way the Cherubusco and West Noble game ended. I mean,
what a game!
Unbelievable!
What a game, Jake, and how gutsy was that at the end.
And I don't want to put out too much tradecraft, but I'll put it this way: I work with one of the coaches, and coach tells me when they decided to go for 2, the kids pushed the issue. They said, "We've got the play. We know what we want to do. We can do this." And they went and did it.
That's awesome.
That was impressive. And you got to love it when a coach believes in their kids.
For sure.
And is willing to gamble in that situation. So that's really, I watched the end of that game.
Epic
and
win.
that was just an epic win and an epic ending. And I think that was big for Cherubusco. As far as Northrop, I'm with you with Northrop. Northrop's had a great season. Now, Carroll took care of them on Friday night. But if you go back to the Homestead game, they had a lot of bad calls and a lot of tough breaks. Well, they could have easily won that game.
And it had been a different situation.
But Carroll was kind of coming off that beat down of Homestead, Carroll's high.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if I'm Quentin Bowen, I'm telling my kids, okay, now we know what we have to do to raise our standard, because chances are they're probably going to play again in the playoff
championship.
But I think that's a great story. I mean, see Northrop
and remember,
come out,
they were getting pounded last week against Carroll, and then they dominated the third quarter.
Well, that's what
cut it
happened
to
with
33-31.
Yeah, when they played Homestead was up 19-7, and I thought Homestead would come out and run the ball, and Homestead wanted to throw the ball around, and Northrop responded and just absolutely took it to Homestead the second half. So that makes you feel good that not only is that a great story with Northrop, but they've been down some games where kids haven't quit.
Yeah,
and
for
kids
sure.
have played harder. So now there's just a lot of great stories. Again, back to DeKalb, and Jake could speak to this too. I think Huntington North is a good story too. When you watch Huntington North, they just they seem to be much better too.
They're not quitting.
No,
I mean, they've lost some games. They played a really tough schedule, and they've lost some games. And we'll talk a little bit about them a little bit later in the show. We've got a subject there about their postseason potentiality, because they're defending sectional champs.
Yes.
People forget that.
Yeah. So I think those programs also give hope to the programs, maybe like a New Haven or a Southside, other programs that can kind of point to those programs and be like, hey,
we can turn that corner.
Maybe we can turn the corner. Yep. But the ebb and flow is fun with high school football, and it's fun to see some of those staffs have success.
Absolutely. All right, page 3, Jackson, real quick. BD is the Fort Wayne Fire Department team of the week.
Very
really nice picture of all the seniors there, and that's always a toughie trying to figure out, because obviously we have more than 9 teams come to the photo shoot.
For sure.
And so we try to spread it around between the conferences and whatnot. But the Saints are the team this week, and they can wrap up a SAC championship if they beat the Archers. Yeah. All right, page 4. All right, I'm just going to tee you guys up. Why don't you give us 5 minutes on this first segment, if you would, Jackson, and go ahead and start the clock right now. We got Bishop Luers 4-4 at Carroll 5-3. Carroll has all of a sudden won quietly 4 in a row.
Yep.
And the defense, they had that skunk against Homestead 2 weeks ago, 49-zip. But last week, Northrop kind of exposed them a little bit and put up some points, especially in that third quarter. So they've got some things to work out too. But this is a somewhat intriguing matchup, just from the standpoint that both kind of want to keep that mojo going. Bishop Luers has won 4 of their last 5. It doesn't really feel like it because they barely beat Wayne last week. It was 10-7, and they scored, I think, late to make it 17-7. And then they got beat by their rival Bishop Dwenger by 20 points. But again, it's Bishop Luers. So you know they're going to make a run. You know they're going to be really, really good in Class 3A playoffs. I'll let you start, Jake. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, Luers on a win streak, but it feels like one of those grinded out seasons for them. And it's, in retrospect, that's kind of what they're used to. They're gonna be great in the playoffs. There's no question with that. But I think unfortunately right now, Carroll's just got this buzz around them, and I think it's going to be a buzzsaw for Luers to run into. And my big thing on this was, Carroll comes back late in a good contest with Northrop. That was an exciting game. I think that back and forth was great for them to kind of get some morale back up. But here's what I was wanting to see last week and what happened. That this is the first time since week 5 that Carroll was able to rush for over 150 yards. They had a season best 197 yards on the ground.
That's huge.
And then on top of that, you got your quarterback slinging the rock. You got Jaden Van Pelt, who is still the smoothest route runner around, in my opinion. And when you mix those things up, now you are doing typical football where you're running the ball to open the pass. Coach Poppy is going to dice this thing up, man. And I think Luers going to have a heck of a run in the playoffs, but in this game, I think Carroll is just going to get after it.
Well, I'll come to you then, Joe. How does Luers approach this? I mean, there's no real huge benefit to winning this game other than pride and trying to move forward. Are they 100% locked in on the 3A playoffs right now? And are they trying to introduce some things? Or are they trying to keep people healthy? What's Coach Kyle Lindsey's mindset going into this?
I would come into this game. I think Jake makes a great point. First of all, I think the difference in Carroll all of a sudden is they can run the football. If you remember back when they played Concordia, they couldn't run the football in Concordia, and we were just dumbfounded, a 6A team like that with Carroll. But as far as Luers and Coach Lindsey, I challenge my kids this week. I say, look, nobody thinks we can win. Nobody has any respect for us. We're going to come out, but we're going to do some different things. We're going to kind of play this game hard. But we're also going to incorporate some of the things I want to do in the playoffs. I want to throw the ball a little bit on first down. The problem with Luers right now is Luers has this big offensive line that is a good offensive line, but Luers is so limited. Luers can't throw the ball. I got to show more faith in my quarterback. I throw the ball on first down. I try some different things. Maybe I try a gadget play here or there, but I kind of try some different things and challenge my kids as far as on the offensive end. Now, defensively, I say to myself, look, I got to get a rush. I've got to get a pass rush. So I'm going to have to look at my corners and say, look, this is a game. I'm going to put a lot of pressure on you. We're not going to see kids like this for the most part in the 3A playoffs, but with Van Pelt, Gabe, the quarterback, how well he's playing, we're going to have to play some man-to-man, and I've got to bring some pressure. So what I do is I challenge my kids. I say, we're going to do some different things, but we're going to be even more aggressive because I want to show that aggressiveness against playing up with the 6A program with Carroll. So when I come back down next week and I start my sectional, I really am locked and loaded, and I can do some of those same things, but I can do it with competition that's not Carroll.
Well, and there's something to be said also about putting a lot out there on film, where you're forcing your opponent to prepare for some things that maybe deep down inside you're thinking, we might not need to do some of this, but let's do it now in a game that, quote unquote, doesn't matter a whole lot.
Correct.
So that we do have the confidence when we need it, and maybe you roll back into, something completely different next week.
Totally agree. And that's why I just think it's so important in this game for Luers to be a little aggressive on first down, to throw the ball down the field, to stretch the field against Carroll, because you want that on tape. You also want to build a little bit of confidence.
What about those two brothers right there, Ale and Jerron Taylor? Are they fantastic or what? Luers are going to miss those two guys next year.
I mean,
they are players.
For sure.
Luers has some guys, and Luers really is deep at some positions. Luers is also very good with the special teams. When I saw Luers against Northside, they had the kid that ran the kickoff back, and the kicker did a nice job. So I just think this is a game where when I get off the buses, I challenge my kids. I say, look, I don't care who they are. I don't care if they're 6A, Jake. You know what? We're going to play hard, and we're also going to mix in some different things tonight and see what we can do.
Jake, real quick, put a bow on this one. Talk about it from a Carroll perspective. They at the 6A power, you've won 4 in a row. You're a big favorite in this game. you want to come out healthy, but do you have a similar mentality here?
Yeah, I think you want to go into this thing saying, what are our keys that we want to accomplish in postseason play, and let's implement those now. You know what Luers is going to show you. And so are there any things that you can do on your end from Carroll? Hey, can we go into this game, and now that we build on this run game, can we establish that with a little bit more dominance?
Correct.
Can we build off that and bring that in? Because you're going to have to be multifaceted going into the playoffs. So can you run the ball against a little bit better front this week?
Correct.
Can you establish that? Can you
Good
get the
point.
quick and screen game maybe going a little bit and dink and dunk some
Luers
things?
front four is as good
They're
as most
nasty.
6A
They are
teams front
nasty.
I
four.
agree. That's a great point that Jake makes. And I want to get ahead early if I'm Carroll.
Yep.
So I want to win this game, obviously. But if I can get up a couple touchdowns, I want to come back and I want to say to my offensive line, maybe at halftime, you're not coming out, and we're going to run the ball every single play.
Mhm.
Now, they got a good front, and I want to whip my offensive line and challenge my offensive line and just drag that physicality out of my offensive line, because Carroll's season is going to be decided in the playoffs, not by how good the quarterback Gabe is throwing around. We know how good he is. We know how good Van Pelt is. It's going to come down to what Jake said, balance in the offense. And at the end of the day, can the offensive line get off the ball, hit people, and run the ball? Carroll has not had the balance until the last 2 to 3 weeks. All of a sudden now we see the balance,
Right.
and they're a
They're a
much
different
more,
team.
Jake made a great
offensively.
point. They're much different, and they're much, much more difficult. And that was the trouble that Northrop had with them.
Love that picture there. Nice big picture. This week, there was a lot of emphasis on the artwork and some full
awesome.
pages on these teams. Jackson Rhodes, nice shot of that number 21 there. Deion Sanders was 21.
Yeah.
72 yards, team high 72 yards last week. Pretty cool. I mean, they are really doing some nice things offensively in the run game. All right. Thank you, Jackson. Let's go to the next game. Snyder at Northside. Again, give me 5 minutes if you would on this. Jackson Geiger, thank you. This, again, Snyder, say whatever you want, but it's been a rough year for the Panthers, 2-6. Barring a state championship, they're going to have the most losses in program history, which is just unthinkable.
Yep.
But they've had, some adversity this year. They're playing a ton of young kids, and they're kind of just, plodding along. You look at their schedule. They've got, losses against Warsaw, East Noble, Carroll, Homestead, Northrop, and Dwenger. Those are all pretty formidable opponents. And so I think this is a game out at Chambers Field against Northside that if the Panthers can somehow find a way to win, kind of get that sour taste out of their mouth, then they'll feel better about things going into the postseason. Thoughts on this one from a Snyder perspective, Jake?
Yeah, it's definitely an intriguing game. On paper in this one, Northside has all the weapons, and this is one of the toughest seasons Snyder's had in memory. Currently 0-4 in conference play, which is pretty wild. And they got a Doom and rematch against Northrop coming up in the tournament. So you kind of feel like, in my mind, that this is a must-win game for Snyder, and for nothing else other than morale. This is the Legends has struggled against the Panthers with their last one coming against Snyder in the 2022 season. But in 2 of those games coming up, there was 2-point spreads in those games. It came down to some game-winning field goals, last-minute drives, and things like that. So you would think that North has the edge, but I've always been one that's going to try to throw dirt on Snyder's grave before it's too early. And there's things that they're going to continue to do well. They're going to play good 4-3 cover 2 football. They're going to be fast. They're not multifaceted offensively, but they do the right things. What they're running the pistol, when they're running, they'll run some power. They'll get some counter in there. I just want to see how are they going to challenge these skill position guys on the north side of the football. And in the wins losses that we talked about with Northside, a lot of their wins have come against subpar opponents, and no discredit to what they've done. Is Snyder, like you said earlier, they played such a tough schedule. Are they a little bit better than what we think? And it's just unfortunate that the schedule this year was so tough for them. Are they going to be able to elevate themselves in their base defense and running the offense that we're so used to seeing with them, establishing the run, quick hitters out of the pistol, throwing the football? I like some of the concepts that they've done. I like some of the things that they did against Warsaw. The one thing that I did like when I saw them play, they're not giving up in games. They're not quitting on coach. So I think that's going to be a big thing. I think this game's going to be a lot closer than people would give it a bargain for.
And the Panthers were leading Bishop Dwenger last week in the second quarter,
Yep.
and it was 10-6 at halftime. So it's not like the Saints were just blowing their doors off. And it kind of had the feeling up until that point, like, wow, we might be watching another one of those classic Snyder Dwinger finishes. And again, attrition kind of, took its toll in the second half. And I think that speaks to Snyder's lack of depth this year. And then also playing so many young kids. They're playing a lot of sophomores, a lot of juniors. They're always traditionally so senior heavy, and they're not this year. And I think this is the byproduct when you rely so much on seniors and that senior class isn't maybe as special as past years. This is what you get.
And so leading into that, to Joe, from the Northside perspective, they are so multifaceted and they are so fast and they're so skilled in that Dub C quarterback transfer they've got. Do you think
Jaden Rivers,
do you think that he's getting the ball out of his hands so fast? Joe, do you think that he's just going to be able to dice up this defense?
Well, that's what will be interesting because Northside is a program. I watch a lot of their games. The ceiling is so high, and they haven't really played their best ball yet.
I agree.
I went to watch the Northside Homestead game last week, and Rivers had been dominant all season long. And then last week, he just really particularly didn't play real well last week, which I was surprised.
Some of that was Homestead's defense, though, too.
Yeah, the front seven for Homestead. I mean, it's nice to see Homestead be physical, and it was nice to actually see a couple of offensive guards put their hand in the ground. But I was happy.
That excited you.
Yeah, I did excite because I'm tired of watching Homestead being soft, So I was thankful last week that actually Homestead came out and showed a little bit of physicalness and responded after that beat down by Carroll. So I was happy for Homestead and their staff. I thought Homestead's front seven was awesome last week. I really like Nolan Rogers. I think he's awesome.
Yes.
But as far as Northside, Rivers, that ball needs to come out. That ball needs to go to Malik. Caleb is so good in the backfield. I just think Northside really hasn't, functioned on all their gears yet. I think Ben does a great job. I like his offense, what Ben does over there. Ben Johnson, the head coach, the plays he calls. I thought the offense, I thought Jalen's defense was really good. They played well at times with the defense, but I just think Northside needs to have more continuity on the offensive end and just play a little better. Northside kind of reminds me of a team that plays in spurts. There's times you watch Northside and you think, my gosh, they've turned the corner.
Yeah.
They are there. They are fantastic. And then I'll watch other times of Northside, and the coaching's great. There's nothing else the coaching can do. I'll watch other times where kids jump off sides, or like on Friday night with Rivers, just didn't play well, didn't throw the ball real well. And
he just looked out of sync.
He was out of sync, and he wasn't really in sync with the teammates either.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited to see how the game is tomorrow, how they play tomorrow. I'm happy that Snyder and Northside are playing again. I thought it was the dumbest thing when they did away with that game for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And as far as Snyder, I love the boys from the east side, but their season was over this summer with what happened with all the hydration issues and all the problems and the kids having to go to the hospital. And so I'm waiting to see, what's going to come of that. Are we going to get an actual report as to what happened? Because I know there's law firms right now. That's the elephant in the room. There's law firms right now that are just swirling around Snyder's program. There's a lot going on with that. And I think, unfortunately, whether it's fair or not fair or whatever happened, I'd like to see the report and see what happened with that. But that has just killed their season.
Yeah,
killed their momentum.
It's kind of just been a cloud over things to kickstart things.
It's too bad.
Well, and again, they are playing a lot of young guys too. And so I think they were going to lose their fair share this season.
But not
anyways.
Like the way they've lost. Not like this is not Snyder. And I guess everybody gets a mulligan. Snyder's a great program. This is not the Snyder we know of the past.
For sure.
But that whole situation with what happened this summer, there needs to be some transparency there. That needs to be sorted out. And so I think the program needs that so the program can move forward, because the boys from the east side are awesome. I think Jake's right. I think tomorrow at Chambers Field, they've got some talented young kids. I think Snyder's going to show up. And I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a good game. But I think for North, I think, you say, like Jake said, they've beaten a lot of the teams, some of the lesser teams, Jake, and you say, okay, we're 5-3. I don't think Ben and some of the coaching staff, I don't think they're real happy with where they are right now, because they know
they're not satisfied.
They're not satisfied. They can take that program to a whole another level.
It
but they have to have
feels
some
like
kids.
they're right there.
It
They're
does.
right there.
Almost
It
like
does.
Northrop's turned a corner
Correct.
this
Yes,
year.
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
Northside feels like they could have
And-
easily been the Northrop of this year.
Not the Homestead game, because I think Homestead came out, and I was happy for the kids from the Southwest. They had something to prove. But that Lures and Northrop game, I can give you about 4 or 5 plays that go
yeah.
different, and Northside wins those
Wins
games.
those
But
games,
they
yeah.
just got to get over that hump. And I think tomorrow night's a big game because Snyder comes in kind of beaten down. And if you're North, you feel like if you're going to get Snyder,
You better do it now.
you better do it now.
Well,
my
let me
friend.
just wrap this up real quick and then we'll move on. But nice picture in game night of Jalen Smith. Look at him
Yeah.
sporting the shades, and then Omarion waits there. I love that kid. Great photo of him from our photo shoot. He had a really good game last week defensively, and
Yeah,
again,
lot of talent.
they've got tons of parts on both sides of the ball.
And what's fun about Jalen, to finish up on North Side, is they'll get a stop or a fumble recovery. Jalen's jumping up and down. He's high-fiving kids. It's like
He's a
It's just-
perpetual 12-year-old like
it's
me.
just
That's
awesome
why I love
because
him.
you think this guy played in the NFL,
Like
yeah,
this
yeah,
year.
and he's out there
Yes,
jumping up and down, coaching kids.
he's great for the community and for
he's
those
great
kids.
for the community, great for the program. And I'm proud of Ben Johnson over there. They're so close, but they got to clean up a few things to
Yep.
get over that hump.
You got something real quick?
That just that right there. I've said this for so long, and there's no politically correct way to say this, but you have to have a coach that understands and can build a culture and identity and the type of person they are. And Northside is fun. Like, I love seeing these dudes swagged out, wearing chains,
They play
being
hard.
who they are.
Yeah.
And when you can establish that identity, Snyder has established an identity for years. You look at different teams
Sure.
around the area,
Sure.
and everybody kind of has their thing and their
Yeah.
look and their style. And when you're doing that, your kids are having fun and they're playing loose.
Yes.
And I agree, Northside is right there on the precipice. They're so close to just climbing that next step.
and
It's
it's
like a Swami
exciting to
word,
see.
That is a
precipice.
Swami word.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great word. And the last thing I'll say about Northside too, about Ben, what I like so much too is, my gosh, he's putting kids in school. He puts kids in colleges. My
Yep.
gosh, you're Notre Dame Irish. Tay-Tay.
Tay-Tay,
You know what I mean?
he's having a great
Now,
season.
Leslie Woodson on the defensive line for them. He's going to be a big time player. Malik's going to be a big time player.
Malik Moore,
Caleb has
yep.
an offer from Toledo. But not
I'll
just,
be curious to see Jaden Rivers if something
what
opens
happens
up for
with
that kid.
But not just that, he's also, there's kids over there that play for him that are learning like welding, Jake.
Yeah.
He'll start practice a little late so these kids can get welding, so these kids can get electrical, so they can learn the trades. That's why I'm so big on North. Yeah, the kids have fun. They're swagged out. It's a lot of fun. But he's also putting kids in school and putting kids in programs to be successful when football's over.
the
with.
name
And
of the
my
game.
gosh,
Yep.
can you imagine coming off the sideline on if you play on the defensive side of the
Seeing
ball and
Jalen
there's Jalen
Yeah.
Smith loving
High
on
five
you,
awesome.
coaching on
Yeah,
you.
for sure.
It's great.
All right.
260 football.
You're gonna have to give us about 7 minutes on this next one because we're doing at least 7 on these first games.
I love it.
So it's great. Thank you for the contributions are beautiful.
Yes.
This is another one. Again, there's conference title implications. I think there's, a lot to be said about the postseason for both these teams, and maybe a Southside lurking right behind a Northrop and a Northside as far as maybe being that team that could turn a corner. It feels like it. They're right there behind Northside. They're real close. Joe, I'm going to let you start with this one from a Southside perspective. The Archers, 2-6 at 6-2 Bishop Dwenger. Thoughts?
I think that Southside needs to get off the buses and they have to compete. At times, the defensive line, the linebackers have played really well. When they played Homestead, at times they dominated the Homestead offensive line. When they played North, they had moments with their defense. They played really well. They've been sound on special teams. Irby's such a threat to take the ball to the house, whether it's a kick return or a
And
punt
what a
return.
receiver he's turned out to be.
So
Yeah.
they've got some weapons. I still wish they would kind of commit to one quarterback, but they're kind of figuring it out. And
Looks like Devin Patterson was the guy last week. 6
Yeah,
for 8, 129.
yeah, I think Devin needs to get all those snaps. I know what they like to give different looks, but I think Devin needs to play the whole game.
And then get Murphy on the field in other areas.
I think Murphy could come in and maybe play some back, or maybe we
Some
could play
slot.
him at slot and do some different things. But I think this is a game where Southside's much better than their record. Southside's much better right now than what they've been years past.
and I
but
think
this-
they're much better than what they believe and they think. I still think
Great
they're
point.
just not there
Great
yet.
point.
but they're close.
Great point. And I think that this is a game where, like, for the first half, I want to see my kids compete. I want to see them go toe-to-toe with Bishop Dwenger. And I think that's what South needs tomorrow night, because all of a sudden you're going to need that momentum. You get Wayne again in the playoffs. You should be able to handle Wayne, but then you probably got East Noble staring at you. So this is a good test to get Dwenger tomorrow night. And we need to keep the penalties down and watch the turnovers and compete for the big thing for Southside.
Absolutely. And maybe get that big play either in a return game.
And I'll tell you one more thing to finish up on Southside. When I went to the Northrop Bishop Dwenger game, I thought that was some of the finest in-game adjustments that I've seen in the last few years that Northrop made against Bishop Dwenger.
Mm-hmm.
Bishop Dwenger was physical. Bishop Dwenger was good. And Northrop morphed into a 4-4, but then took the safety, slid him up, played a 4-5 with 9 guys in the box, and played man-to-man
on the outside.
Inside technique on the wide receivers, and Dwenger was officially done.
Yes.
And I tell you what, Lures played Dwenger after that. Anybody that plays Dwenger the rest of the year, I would take that Northrop tape, and that's what I would play. And tomorrow night with Southside,
beat them.
I would get off
Passing
the buses
on some one-on-ones.
and I'd say, look, we're good in the defensive backfield. I'm going to play man-to-man inside technique. I'm going to play a 4-5. And you know what? You're not going to run the ball. If you're going to beat me, you're going to have to throw fades over my corners.
We wrote about that in Game Night this week, highlighting Beckham Russell. He had another nice game last week. He's kind of their go-to guy in those one-on-one matchups. He's pretty good in traffic.
Yeah.
He's going to need a big game tomorrow, because I have a sneaky suspicion that's what Southside's going to do.
That's exactly
offensively for Dwenger. Jake, are you anticipating seeing that kind of a defensive front from Southside? And if so, are you thinking about winning some of those one-on-one matchups? Or are you going to be bullheaded and just try to run the ball?
So before I get into that,
you're going to be bullheaded and say whatever the hell you want to say right now, aren't you?
Yes.
I love that about you.
Listen, Joe, you have to be stoked, though, for Coach Andre Goodwell and how this team, with 2 wins, competitive in week 1, and now very good chance with a Wayne rematch, that this team could have 3 wins for the first time since 2013.
And denting their sectional.
I totally agree.
Is that not? And that's what we've been talking about with the building blocks, especially in these smaller schools that are having a full-on rebuild. The prior coaching, no need to even comment, okay? Yeah. What they're doing now is all positivity. And you go into next year, we win week 1, we beat Wayne, we beat Concordia. We're talking about a potential Southside team next year that's building blocks to be a 4 or 5 win team, which is absolutely exceptional. So with that,
and I think they can really match up with Bishop Dwenger tomorrow if they do some things schematically.
They gave Northside problems.
Yes.
Northside didn't put them away until late. So Jake makes a great point.
Think about this. Every offseason, I don't remember if it's the OPS or Parkview Sports Medicine 7-on-7s. Southside is always first or second place. That's how Coach Good started this.
Plenty of skill guys.
They got plenty of skill guys. They're faster and shiftier than you think, and they may be undersized.
I'm going to steal the ball from you here and talk a little bit about Bishop Dwenger. If I'm Dwenger, I'm running that belly dive to AJ Shefferly all night long. They went away from that against Northrop. Now, granted, Northrop did some things differently defensively, but they abandoned that down the stretch. And he was dominating that game.
He was
on the belly dive.
That's a great point. They did go away from that. But you make a great point, and that's why if I'm Southside, I play a 5-4. I say, here's the deal, boys. We're going to play a 5-4.
9 guys in the box.
My 2 corners, I love you. You're on your own. Yep. I want inside technique. No slants, nothing inside. Has to be fades over my head. The other 9 of you, we're going to play physical football.
We're going to hunt ball carriers.
Fight for every damn yard.
Mm-hmm.
And when we get back on that bus after the game, we're going to be proud of ourselves. And then we're going to go for, we'll go for barbecue or ice cream or something. We're going to go eat. You know what I mean? But you know what? We're going to play physical trench. And I want you in those gaps. And you know what? You don't get in those gaps.
You're frothing. He's frothing at the mouth.
Let's go. Let's go. You know what? You put that green and white on, and you get your ass in those gaps. Yeah. And you know what? We're gonna make them fight for every damn yard. And after we're done, we'll go get ice cream.
You're scaring me. Joe, you're scaring me. All right.
I need to take Joe to the pregame for South because they need to. But listen, here's the thing.
If you're Dwenger, though, is this a macho thing? Like you're like, you know what?
No,
Sorry,
here's the-
you put 9 in the box. You can put 11 in the box. We're
Here's
going to
the
still
thing.
run it on you.
I'm proud of Dwenger this year because we've been critical of them of needing to adjust some of their offensive game plans. We know what they're going to do on D. They're going to stack those backers and slant every direction, and they're going to come.
And they're
at you,
awesome on
and they're
that side of the
awesome
ball.
across.
Awesome.
But
Absolutely.
they have adapted and been a little bit more multifaceted. That word I keep going back to. They've shown some different things. But this is a game where you go back to hard hat Dwenger football and you just line up in the eye and you absolutely pound the rock and say, you know what, take away our boundary guys. We don't care. We are gutting you.
We are Bishop
entrenched.
Dwenger, and
we're
we're going to run
Dwenger.
the ball down your throat.
That's absolutely right. You know what I do if I'm Southside? I ride out to Dwenger with the biggest Rottweiler you ever saw. Maybe a 145-pound Rottweiler.
Is this guy fixed or unfixed? He's got
I-
all of it hanging
he's got
out, doesn't it?
everything.
Yeah, he's got all his parts.
He's on the chains. He's
Yep.
spitting. He's sweating. My
Yep.
shirt comes off pregame, and I say, "Where's my dogs at?" And I
Yeah,
run out
buddy.
there with the biggest Rottweiler you ever
Yes.
saw, and I say, "You know what? This is physical football, and you know what? This is trench football, and we're the new Southside."
I'm actually kind of really excited about this game
Let's
now.
go.
Yeah, no, it's
More than I
go.
was before tonight.
Let's go.
The skill position players from South are exciting and
dangerous.
surprising. They're dangerous.
They're very
guys.
dangerous.
And-
And Dwenger's offense is not so dominant that they're going to score tons
sure.
of points typically. So this could be a ball game,
I
especially
think
if
it's gonna be
Southside
fun.
scores early or gets a kick return or
Yep.
scoop
And
and
they have-
score or something.
And some of the bravado is, I want my kids to believe,
Yes.
and I want to challenge my kids. I don't want this to be the typical Southside Dwenger game where Dwenger lines up in the power
And
eye
Southside
and
rolls
beats us
over.
35-6,
Yeah.
and we roll over.
And I'll be
We're not
honest with
rolling
you,
over
Bishop
tonight.
Dwenger, if they want to get where they want to go, they don't want that either. They want to get punched in the mouth
They
tomorrow
got to
night.
be challenged
They
more because
need that.
Dwenger is so loaded and so good with defense and special teams and can run the football. And if I'm Dwenger, to finish up on this, if I get ahead in this game and I feel comfortable, I'm working on my passing attack, Casey O'Boyle, because you know what? That's the one thing I want to continually.
It's got to be part of the equation.
Got to bring it
Yep.
along because there's some real beasts in my sectional waiting for me.
Yeah, nice picture in game night this week of Henry Jordan, the senior quarterback. He's really played well these last few weeks.
Yep.
And then Beckham Russell, we talked about him
Sure.
earlier.
Talented
last week.
kid, very
He's got
talented.
33 receptions on the year for 354 yards.
Yeah.
And again, kind of that kid
Sure.
that they want to go to in a one-on-one situation, which anymore, that's what the Dwenger receivers are seeing.
Correct. And that's what
So,
they're going to see in the playoffs.
Yeah, that great stuff there. I think this is again a very intriguing game for all those reasons. All right, thank you guys. Let's get to the next one. Why don't you give us 8 minutes on this one? Because I have a feeling that we have plenty to talk about here. I'll set it up real quick. You can start it for me, Jackson. Leo 7-1 at DeKalb 6-2. Wow, I'm excited about this game. I just think it's a really intriguing matchup. Yes, it's only for second place in the Northeast 8, but it's also about momentum. It's also about
Correct.
pride.
Correct.
DeKalb is 0-12 all time against Leo. That shocked me. I didn't get a chance to fully, but I asked both coaches and they both confirmed that. So I think all their matchups really started when the Northeast 8 formed.
You're absolutely right.
Because Leo,
that's
remember,
when
used to be a really small school, so they
Leo
didn't have
was
any
really
of those
small. and
postseason matchups.
DeKalb was dominant when they had Weber in the earlys to mid 90s.
Yes.
DeKalb was very dominant.
Brad Weber,
in
the
the
left-handed
90s,
quarterback. Yep.
Correct. And it went to IU. And then all of a sudden, you're right. Leo was small, but then they came into a conference when DeKalb was kind of
and
down.
they kept growing. Yep.
Yeah. And
But
Leo
since
has
then,
taken off.
0-12. Two
and-
in the last 10 years, and two of those are postseason
And-
matchups.
And that's going to change tomorrow night.
Well, just hold tight there. You're getting ahead of yourself, big fella. But I will
Change
say
tomorrow night.
it's a really compelling matchup. I'll start with you, Jake, because he's going to take the ball from you and run anyways.
As
But
it should be.
You've got. I think Nate Foster. This is the big question, right? He got dinged up last week.
He did.
in Leo's 30-7 win over Columbia City, and I'm hearing that he's probably doubtful for tomorrow. If
Correct.
I'm Coach Jason Dorfler, this is for second place. We've got Bishop Dwenger in round 1 of the sectional. He's not playing. I think he's about 205 yards from being a single season record holder at Leo, which is, saying something. But by the same token, I think I'm saving him. If he doesn't play tomorrow night, does Leo have a chance to beat DeKalb without Nate Foster, Jake?
I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but they do not. And that's tough sledding, I know, and that's a pretty bold statement. But man, it's I'm extremely bummed for Foster because this was just one of those seasons that, man,
He's
up
been
until
special.
this point, it was very and I don't want to throw dirt on his grave yet either. Who knows? The kid could come back, and if they make a sectional run and he gets enough opportunities to put those yards up, there's just, in my opinion, not been a better overall runner of the football through the year, especially with King Caleb over at North being banged up there for a while and just getting back into
Go
it.
back to that week 1 game against Bishop Lures. He was dynamic and
Yes.
he set the tone, and he's been that guy all year.
And it's wild because I love Jason Dorfler. I love how he calls plays. I love the offense that he
Great
brought
coach.
from Northrop and how he's adapted things and mixed up a modern run game with the spread. And I didn't expect this year that it would be the Nate Foster show. And really, that's what offensively it was. You had a bell cow 3-down running back that moved the chains and opened up the rest of the offense for him. And now you don't have him. I will say this. If anybody can,
we assume they don't have.
We assume that we don't have. We don't have for sure. So, thoughts and well wishes to him and his recovery as quick as possible. But I think if anybody can scheme and try to keep this thing a solid matchup, it's Coach Dorfler. Look at what he did last week after Foster went down.
Yeah,
he's
they
able to
still
mix
ran
some
the
things
ball.
up.
Yep.
And Leo still plays sound defense.
What about that QB there, Joe? I'll come to you. Titus Stoller. We talked about him coming into the season. He was not supposed to be the guy. Remember, they're starting, the heir apparent was the guy that was their quarterback last year, and he transferred to Carroll.
Yep.
This kid stepped in. He's done a really nice job. His throwing's improved. He's a great runner. I think he's been a great leader. They are going to miss Nate Foster if indeed he's not playing tomorrow, but they still got a really good offensive line led by Isaiah Kuhlman and those two guys in game night this week, Darian Treesh and Hayden Roberts. But I got to ask you about Titus Stoller, the senior QB. He's done some nice things for the Lions.
He has, and he's really improved as the season has gone on. When I've watched his tape, I think his confidence has been, sky high. So, yeah, I agree with him. He's played much better, and Leo's tried all season long to try to get a little more balanced on offense, and Jake's right. Coach Dorfler is so good with the schemes. Nobody can scheme like Coach Dorfler. So they were excited that the quarterback was getting better to give them more balance, but I think it's going to be tough without Foster, because I think it was going to be tough even if he plays tomorrow night.
I think if he's 100%, I still think Leo gets a small edge because they are 12-0 and because of Nate Foster. If he can't go, it's a different deal.
That Kirkpatrick on defense,
he's
linebacker,
he's a heck
for
of a player.
DeKalb.
He had 2 picks last week.
He is great tracking the ball through the air with the interceptions, but like what Jake always loves in his linebackers is that kid can play from sideline to sideline.
Yes.
And he is a dominant backer. And then you have in the backfield, the defensive backfield, you have Hall. Sometimes he plays corner, sometimes he plays safety. They kind of move him around, and he has been so active.
He's just a junior.
Oh,
he's really good.
His instincts to track the ball are so good. I don't know how many tackles he's had, but I've watched his tape, and I
70
see,
total tackles.
Okay, I was gonna say I see about 7 or 8 tackles every game, but where DeKalb also is really good is up front. I think the difference in this game, I think the offenses kind of match up, and even if Foster plays, the offenses match up. The difference in this game is in the trenches with DeKalb. I think you're going to be surprised tomorrow night. And I love Kuhlman. I mean, Kuhlman was 5th in the state with heavyweight wrestling.
Yeah.
I think Kuhlman could possibly be the state champion next year in the heavyweight for wrestling. But DeKalb's got dogs in the trenches and the defensive side of the ball. And I think DeKalb's going to take care of Leo tomorrow night, Casey.
Well, we'll get to that here at the end of the show. Jake, I'm going to come to you real quick. Drake Hall, 70 tackles, junior defensive back.
Tremendous
Coach Robertson
instincts.
said he trusts him completely. He lets him make changes in game
Yeah.
with their defensive schemes. That's how much he trusts that kid. And then, of course, you talked about Austin Kirkpatrick was
Phenomenal.
was his first name.
Phenomenal.
Senior defensive end, just doing our senior outside linebacker.
He is fantastic.
He is, 2 interceptions last week on defense, returning one of them 18 yards for a score.
And when I watch their tape, what's good is like when you watch their offense, they run a spread, but they're like multiple with different formations and different things they do. It's fun.
They're
to
very
watch.
unpredictable.
And then
play to play.
Correct. You come over on defense, and Kirkpatrick, well, he's an outside backer. Then all of a sudden, he's got his hand in the dirt rushing. Then you got Hall. Well, I'm thinking to myself, wow, this kid's really good. Well, he's a corner. Well, no, he's not a corner. He's a safety. Well, maybe he's a nickel. They're moving people around, and I like that because they're getting their kids in the right position to succeed
And make plays.
and make plays. So I'm really bullish right now. Again, to finish up on DeKalb, I think DeKalb is the biggest surprise
Great
surprise for
Yep.
me this year in the area. And I like watching their tape, and I just think they've got playmakers all over.
Don't want to beat a dead horse. I wish Nate Foster was 100%.
Yes.
And we don't know. He may suit up tomorrow and play. We do not know. But that's the one question mark. Put a bow on this one, if you would, Jake. How do you see this matchup playing out tomorrow night?
Yeah, you said something earlier. The word that sticks in my mind in this is trust. And so DeKalb has established a coaching staff of a mix of old guard and youth and technical guys and fundamental guys,
Correct.
fresh guys.
Yes.
And
And our buddy Pete Kempf, friend of the show, who's been down here a few times this year, he's kind of has his fingers in the mix there, and he's a really good coach.
They've got football guys.
They do. When you start establishing, you've got some scheme guys.
Correct.
They've got Ty Lawson down there coaching the running backs, and he's young. He's still got some things to learn, but he is wise beyond his years for his age, and he's only going to get better. And so when you have a coaching staff that is trusting each other, building each other up, and the training and the teaching is there, and then you're passing on to your kids, there's nothing better for your players to know than, hey, those speeches that we give them all the time. I don't care if you make mistakes. If you're giving 100% on that play and you miss a key or you miss a read, but you still scrape down maybe and make that play at backer, or hey, our first look at quarterback, maybe you didn't look off the safety like you were supposed to and you threw here, but hey, you still hit the open guy. It's just things that you can teach. We can correct the mistakes because you're giving excellent, 100% enthusiasm and everything that you do. It makes this game playing for second place in the NE8 very exciting. This is the most exciting second place game around. And you're going, dang, for me being a Columbia City fan, it's like, this sucks because DeKalb's good again.
Let's not forget something here. This team's won 6 of their last 7. And the one loss was against East Noble, and they should have won that game. Guys.
Yeah. And
think of that. They should be on a 7-game winning streak.
And I walk in the locker room tomorrow night and I say, 0-12, really? I'm sick of this shit. Okay. Now, here's the deal. 0-12.
Can you beep that, Jackson?
I'm sorry. I guess it's YouTube. I'm sorry. But I walk in the locker room and I say, you know
can
what?
Say shit on YouTube.
I say, you know what? You know what? I choose you. You're my boys. I choose you. We're DeKalb. We're Auburn. I'm sick of it. 0-12. It stops tonight.
Yeah, buddy.
That's like a scene from Jerry Maguire.
And let's go. And let's go. And
show me the money, or I choose you, or one of those things, right?
And then as we leave the locker room and go outside, I look at Kirkpatrick and I say, this is your night. And when I wake up tomorrow, I better have some tape.
Okay. Well,
I love it.
I'm pumped. This is going to be another fun one.
Great game.
And you know what? The Barons are on the cover tonight of game night.
And what a beautiful cover. Yeah, shouts out. That cover is just every week when I come, I think, can the covers get any better? Fantastic cover. And you know what? Thank you, too, for getting DeKalb on the cover, because you know what? Again, it's more momentum. It helps the program. Like Jake says, they've got football guys up there, and it's exciting to see DeKalb come along.
Yeah. Shout out to Bo Meinhardt, 2-way starter, came back from an injury last year that he missed. So I love seeing kids like that too, getting some opportunity in their senior year after an injury. And Coach Robertson had nothing but good things to say about him too. Just a team player. All right. My mercy. Let's skip the center spread and we'll come back to it. Jackson, why don't you give us 4 minutes on this next one? It's not the most compelling matchup, but I think there are some subplots. Woodland 2-6 at Adams Central. The Flying Jets 8-0 and conference champs again. I think the 5th straight season. Michael Mosher has just really built an amazing program. I think we all thought that the Bluffton game last week would be closer. And again, AC is a machine, and if you can't stop their running attack, it's going to be a long night, and that's what happened against the Tigers. What are your thoughts in this matchup, Jake?
Well, I made a mistake last week, and so I was rooting for Bluffton so hard to finally break that chain because they've had such a dynamic season, and I tried giving them the pep talk, and what I should have did, I needed to call my boy Joey Dove over here, and I needed to have he needed to give them the pep talk. And then maybe Bluffton could have got that win. I didn't have enough spirit in me to get them going. But AC, it's just one of those things. We love AC because they're from our coverage area. But we also we look at Adams Central, at least I do, like the New England Patriots with Tom Brady.
Yeah.
You want somebody else to win, but at the same time, you love it because they just keep
you
winning.
appreciate it.
You appreciate
right.
it. And it's so funny. You talk to all these coaches, and I talk to Coach Blake a lot from Busco, and he goes, you can't even they beat the crap out of you, and then you can't help but like them because of how nice their coaching staff is. They do it the right way. They're such good, kind coaches and good dudes that are building these kids up and for life after football, like we talked about earlier. So you get your butt kicked by them, and then you still have to be nice to them because they're good guys, they're good coaches. And so that's the tough thing. And you know, to not go on about AC for too long, I'm going to try to give some love to Woodland here. You know,
well, I was just going to say, I just had Jackson move the page.
Yeah.
Jamison Roach,
He's
player of
just
the week,
outstanding.
junior. I mean, do they just plug these guys in? I swear Coach Mosier's got like a cave underneath a cornfield somewhere down there, and they just breed these guys, and they don't care if he's your every down quarterback. You know what? Go play safety and knock somebody's head off.
You know, I often wondered, and this may be a question for you guys. I've often wondered when I played, you know, I'd go to the sideline, stand there, maybe cheer for the defense, think about the next series, or maybe think about what I did right or what I did wrong. Or sometimes I would try not to dwell on that interception I threw with this or that.
These guys
But
don't
with
get
like
that.
Adams Central, they all play both sides of the ball. And you have to wonder sometimes, do they ever even get a moment really to like
To
take a
absorb
moment
any
to
of
think
that.
about, okay, what went right, what went wrong? They just play and they play and they play. And it's
They're like
almost
they're
like
like
a
robots.
machine.
They're like robots.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It feels like they're a machine that if something does go wrong on offense, well, they're just right back on defense and playing. So sometimes you feel like kids, Jake, they're just playing.
And every
They're not
year-
even thinking. And I
For
think
sure.
I played my best games when I really didn't think, when I was just loose.
and you just
And I
had to
just
play.
played. And I don't
Yeah.
even remember playing a lot of those games.
Well,
And I
and when
wonder
you're
about
playing
that.
both sides, maybe that's part of it.
I
And
wonder
here's-
about
they
that.
don't have the depth because they don't have the numbers. So they
Correct.
just go out, they play their best. And it seems like every year they do have an injury or two, and they
Yeah.
just absorb it.
they do.
It's
They do.
remarkable because there's always somebody waiting in the wings.
And if
Let's-
something goes wrong, I got to go play defense.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like I can't sit here and dwell on fumbling the
a
ball
good
away or
point.
throwing a pick. I got to go play defense.
Yeah.
But just,
You-
I agree with Jake. I'd like to
You
see
gotta
somebody
flush it.
else have some success, but oh my gosh, is it awesome to watch the
Oh,
tape?
they're
and so
fun to
sound.
watch.
Yeah.
And you know what? There was a few weeks ago, I think a lot of us or some of us thought they just don't match up well with Andrean. I'm not selling this team short. I think that's going to be a potentially, assuming they get there, a great 2A matchup down the road. So we'll scan us back to Woodland. Let's talk a little bit about the Warriors. They only have like 3 or 4 seniors. We knew this was going to be a tough year. Coach Brock Robacher, you know, played at Snyder, played at Ball State.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a
Tough guy.
long-term tough guy.
Sure.
And you know, things are going to turn eventually. I really believe this sophomore class has got some nice players, and they're going to be pretty good in 2 years, maybe even next year. Jake, I'm going to ask you, if you're Brock Robacher, the head coach of the Woodland Warriors, what's your approach going into this game? Because you know this is a long shot to upset Adams Central, but you also want to make sure you're focused for the postseason and then setting the table for the future.
That's exactly what I was going to say. You got to lean on that run game, Noah Ames and that group. And what you want to do is play the underdog mentality, you know, build that up to yourself that we're going to go out here and these guys are undefeated and they're the juggernaut and we're going to do these things. But the key here is win, lose, or draw for Woodland with their back against the wall in this one. You want to come out taking positives away. So you want to see, hey, we can't give up, you know, in the third and fourth quarter. We can't go down, have kids coming off the field, you know, not really needing a blow and taking that extra blow because they don't want to get hit again. You want that mental toughness. And I think coach is going to be able to do that. So you can take this. These are the stepping stones that you turn a program around. And I go back to Southside again with that. Take your lumps, but leave on good terms as the season ends. So you're coming in the next season. You say, hey, you remember how tough you guys played AC late in the year last year, right? We didn't give up. We were playing them physical. We scored a late touchdown on them. They weren't expecting that. We fought and clawed to the end. And now some of those guys are coming back and we're getting ready to build in. So I'm not saying you punt on this game. I'm saying find those positives in this game that you can build on for the program for the future.
Love the shot of Ryan Klein, senior lineman. I mean, I love the hog mollies. And as a kid, again,
Great
one of the
picture.
few seniors just playing his tail off. And Coach Robacher goes out of his way to make sure, you know, he singles him out because it's been a rough season. I mean, by Woodland standards.
Sure.
And they're playing a ton of young kids, and they've had a boatload of injuries. So they're playing even younger kids, freshmen and sophomores that probably wouldn't have been playing as much as they would have otherwise. Why don't you finish this one up, Joe?
Last thing I'm going to say is it doesn't matter who it is, whether it's Bluffton or South Adams or Woodland tomorrow night versus Adams Central. You have got to get off to a good start.
You can't fall behind.
You can't fall behind because they just tend to bury people, those first couple of drives. And it's like they're like a heavyweight boxer that comes out in the first round and they just throw big bombs and throw a bunch of hands. So you've got to hang around and to be able to kind of absorb those blows and just not get rolled in the first quarter of this matchup.
Yeah, they just keep winning and winning and winning. I don't how many in a row is it now? Is it 22? I think.
Yeah, 22 or
Something,
23.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Yep.
And they just again, they're a machine. And hats off to those coaches and those players because they've got something going really special. And again, congratulations on another title. Flying Jets.
Very
All
impressive.
right, 4 minutes on the clock. Go ahead and start us, Jackson. The last featured matchup in game night for this week is the 4-4 Angola Hornets, and kind of an intriguing up and down team this year that has some talent, maybe a little deficient in the trenches for a 3A school, but by the same token, they've got some playmakers, guys like Hawk Hasselman, who seems like he's been around for 10 years. And Dallas Davidson is another one. Nice shot of him there in game night, number 1 this week from Steve Bowen. And then Eastside. This feels like to me at 6-2, the Blazers feel like they could be a sleeper in the 2A playoffs. Jake, I'm going to start with you. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, I agree. Again, going back to my buddies at Busco at the East Side, and as they call themselves, B Side, which I should have worn my T-shirt that Coach Daisy gave me tonight, actually, in support of those guys. They run such a prolific offense, and it's one of those things that I always think about. Like if you're a defensive guy and you're preparing for a team, and you got to go to like Mishawaka or Warsaw, and you're going, man, I gotta block down and defend this academy triple option or this academy flex bone style of offense. And when you play East Side, there's just tons and tons of QB read coming at you. And even with the coaching changeover since Coach Mason left and then had come back, they still do a lot of the same stuff, and they're exceptional at it. So if you don't have your eyes up and you're not reading your keys and you're not watching that ball, they make you pay. And it doesn't matter what quarterback it is, if it's Laban Davis, if it's anybody after him, they're all good.
Joe Richmond is the guy this year.
Then they're outstanding. It looks like the same kid every year. They may be a little taller or shorter, but it looks like the same guy that is running that QB read. And if you're not on your keys, they're going to make you pay. And I think the tough part in this for Angola is it's going to kind of play against their favor. They're deficient in some parts. Hawk Hasselman's going to play well. I think one of the things that they're going to have to do is Niles No is on the defensive line, and he's going to really have to play gap sound football and zone in and stop that quarterback power read. But, talking about Eastside just a little bit, not to try to get too far ahead, it's like that postseason for them is set up real nice. I think they drew Whitco first, and they're on that other side. You got Bluffton going against Busco first. You got AC somewhere in the mix. I don't know that Busco would want to play Eastside again with how close of a contest that was. And now Eastside's learned some things, and they're coming on. They're getting hot at the right time. It's going to be an uphill battle for Angola, but I think they're up for it. I think it's going to be a good game.
Yeah, real quick, I'll come to you, Joe. Thank you, Jackson. 2 of my favorite helmets right up here on the shelf. Angola and Eastside both have that matte finish. I love both of them. I love my helmets. I'm all about the helmets. Joe, what's your thoughts on this matchup?
I think Eastside continues to improve. It's good to see Eastside kind of get back to that physical football. So I think Eastside's a team to watch. But as far as Angola, Angola beat DeKalb the first week. Now maybe DeKalb was
still figuring some things out,
but that's a darn good win.
Yes.
Yep.
And then their losses. You look at their losses: Andrean, Leo, West Noble.
Mm-hmm.
Those are pretty respectable losses. So
Good
I think
point.
Angola is Angola's a bit of a sleeper. And this is kind of a big game for both teams because Jake makes a good point. Eastside got a great draw into the playoffs, but boy, he'd like to win this and get some momentum. And I think Angola could do some damage. Angola's a team maybe keep an eye on. We'll
For
see.
sure.
We'll
And
see.
a great opportunity going down to Butler to kind of work out some kinks and feel good about things going into the postseason. They got Tippy Valley in the first round.
Is that a picture of Dallas Davidson up there? Who is that, Casey?
Well, that's
Nope,
that's Joe Richmond. Dallas Davidson is up above for
Yeah,
Angola.
Yes, and that's
Yes.
what I was going to say.
Go up to and show him. That's a great shot.
There we
by
go.
Steve Bone.
Because
Keep going.
there's an underrated back end player right
going.
there, and
There
there's
he
a
is.
guy that they can really key
Yep.
on.
Yep.
Use the speed that he's got. I think he could be a player. He could be a good matchup for them.
He
in
and
this game.
Hawk are kind of that 1-2 punch, and when they're both feeding those two guys the ball equally, they're a dangerous offense. It's just whether or not they can stop Job Richardson. And you
Correct,
go back
correct.
down now. There's a nice picture. Thanks, Jackson. We're just making you work too hard tonight. Keep going. Keep going. There's a nice shot there by Adam Snyder. Took that picture out at Woodland.
That's a great shot.
Job Richmond really looks the part. He's just a junior. And remember, he's been amongst the leaders on the rushing board all year long.
Tough kid.
And they've got just enough parts throwing the ball to make him dangerous with him at QB. So
when Angola drew Tippy Valley, when I was watching the statewide coverage of that, they didn't really have anything to say about Angola. They just thought Tippy Valley
just moved right past him.
moved right past him. And
Yep.
if I'm Angola, I would really circle that and pick that because
Got
I
disrespected
don't know
a
if
little
Tippy
bit.
Valley's played the schedule.
No
that
doubt.
Angola, the
No
Angola
doubt.
has played.
Angola,
so-
like you said, good point, Joe, could be a sleeper team. All
Could
right,
be a
Jackson, let's
sleeper.
go back to the center spread. Let's just do, we'll whip through these sectionals. Are you good on time?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's just start with 6A and we'll work our way through. Top left corner of the center spread. Why don't you give us 3 minutes, Jackson, on the clock? Go ahead and start us now. We've got sectional 2. Again, we don't necessarily need to make predictions, guys, but let's just at least talk about the matchups and if you want to comment on the Swami's favorite, lurking, and dark horses.
Sure.
Joe, I'll start with you. Sectional 2, Carroll at Elkhart, Snyder at Northrop. Do you agree Carroll has to be the favorite here?
Yeah, I think Carroll's the favorite. Elkhart has 3 losses. I think Elkhart lost to a really good Concord team, but they've lost some other games, Penn. So I think if Carroll, again, can continually build that run game, I think Carroll's going to be difficult. So I think Carroll will be there at the end with Northrop, and I think you're going to have a rematch of that. And I think Northrop's definitely going to have to go back to the board and really rethink a game plan against Carroll. But I think Carroll is, I'm not a fan of Dinan, obviously, but I think Carroll is dominant with the players and all that. 'Cause whenever I talk about Northrop, my blood pressure goes up when I think about Doug Dinan. Okay. And if I could say something else too, it would be nice if we had some term limits with some of these coaches in our area, kind of like the
Let's just get
politicians.
term limits on our politicians for starters. All right, you just
All right. But
let's
I think
move it.
Carroll, I
All
think
right.
Carroll will win that section.
I will say this. I'm going to come to you, Jake. What do you think about? Is there a chance that Snyder could rise up and beat Northrop in this with Northrop looking ahead to Carroll? Is that possible?
Is that a trick question?
No, that's I'm being serious. No chance.
No way.
Okay.
No disrespect. I love Snyder's a great football program. It's just this is such a down year.
Yeah.
They've already beat him once. There's no way it happens.
Well,
Question for you, Casey, is can they make another step up to
get
close
Carroll.
the gap with Carroll?
Well,
That's
I mean,
the question for you.
if they can kind of bottle that third quarter where they outplayed the Chargers up
Sure.
and down the field,
Sure.
and they can find some of that late game magic in the Bishop Dwenger game where they came back from 2 scores to win
Sure.
that game.
Sure.
They have it. They've got plenty of personnel. Now it's a matter of just fine tuning some things and going back to film and saying, okay, what did Carroll do? How do we? I mean, I was shocked that they threw as much as well as they did, the Carroll Chargers, against Northrop with that secondary. I didn't think they'd be throwing for over 300 yards.
Agreed. And hats off to the balance that Carroll's starting to show now.
Andy
Carroll's
Papagiannis,
another
the
team.
OC. Yep.
Carroll's gotten a lot better. Now everybody says, well, Joe, they played those tough Indianapolis teams beginning. Sure, of course. But Carroll, if you watch their tape, they're getting better.
Right.
Carroll's improving,
No
getting
doubt
better.
about it.
And I think Carroll's going to be
I
difficult.
worry
in the
about
playoffs.
Carroll's defense long term because I think
Sure.
there's some
Gotta get
deficiencies
some
there.
stops up front.
Yes, but
I would
they've
change
got
the
some nice
scheme.
players.
But why not change the scheme once in a while? Why not bring some more pass rush? Why not, hide your scheme at times? Why not roll into a different scheme? Why play the same scheme over and over?
Maybe they'll make some tweaks.
I think that as much as I would love to see Northrop get that rematch again, I think Coach Poppy, just as smart and sharp as he is, I'm going to identify and say, you know what? We were so good at running the football last time in this balanced attack, but we got into a shootout with them for a little while. They're like, get a little old school on them. We're going to run that football. We're going to grind clock, possess the football longer this time. We're going to run more. We're going to do more of what worked.
Yeah.
And put the foot on their throat. And the other thing I wanted to comment on that is knowing a little bit about teams up into the little bit that gray area of Northwest Indiana. You can almost call it the borderline of the region, borderline 260. I think very disappointed for Elkhart this season because on paper they were going to be world beaters, and
Correct.
Nobody realized Concord's quarterback is going to be one of the best of the state.
He's fantastic.
The game that really hurt Elkhart that I feel and why I don't think that they can win this sectional, South Bend St. Joe, 21-14. That was a backbreaker for their season. Very emotional.
St. Joe's pretty good this year, though. I think they're undefeated.
They're very solid,
Yep.
but that is a game that Elkhart had scribbled down to win and should have won. I don't hurt them on the Penn loss. Penn is absolutely outstanding this year, but I think this is Carroll's sectional to lose, and I think they've got a good chance.
I agree.
Great point.
Think about Northrop and Carroll potential rematch. They had almost 1,000 combined yards of offense in that game. That game was like 4 hours long. I thought I was watching the Yankees and the Red Sox.
And that's the thing. We want that rematch because no matter what, it's going to be a great game.
Yes,
we want that rematch.
I want that rematch.
Yeah.
And he's right. Jake makes a good point to finish up on that. If you went through the northern teams of the state and you said, who has been the most disappointing versus expectations, it would be Elkhart.
Yeah.
But now you have to wonder, can they rally?
Because they've got some personnel.
They've got personnel. Yep. Can they suck it up? But that's tough to do when your regular season's been disappointing by expectations. All right,
Correct.
Sectional
4 in 6A. Go ahead and start it, Jackson. Let's just briefly talk. Our only local entrant is Homestead, and we've talked a lot about the Spartans just up and down. It, to me, which Homestead team is going to show up? Now, Hamilton Southeastern is a difficult draw, make no mistake, but it's not a dominant Hamilton Southeastern team. The Royals are good, but they're beatable. Correct. If Homestead plays like they did in week 2 against Noblesville, if they play like they did against Northrop, if they play like they did last week against Northside, you get that Homestead team, they're going to hang around in that opener.
Homestead's best game they played was last week.
I agree.
Now, beating Noblesville's terrible.
Well, I wouldn't say terrible. They're 1-7.
Yeah.
But again, look at their schedule. I think the Millers are okay.
Now, as far as Hamilton Southeastern, you're right. They're beatable. And if I'm Homestead, I've got Concordia this week, a bye, and Hamilton Southeastern. I got 3 weeks to prepare.
Mm-hmm.
Now, traditionally, Homestead has not done a good job with the schemes or the defenses in the playoffs. Now, this year, their front seven is awesome, and they were awesome against Northside. And I was so pleased for the kids because they were so down after the beat by Carroll that I was so pleased to see the kids come back and play
and
rally and really show a lot of heart in that game. But I agree with you. Homestead's another team where I wish we had term limits for coaches again. You know what I mean? Because I can't remember the last time I saw a 6A team get put in the running clock in the first half. You know, that's ridiculous. That can't happen. And with the facilities out there, Homestead's loaded. And I think Homestead with that quarterback, I love the quarterback, Casey.
Logan
He
Friedman.
is their run game.
Yep.
Logan is awesome. He can run. He can pass. He can do a lot. I think that has all earmarkings. If Homestead comes out and accepts the fact that they have to be physical at time and run the football, I think Homestead could win that game.
And playing at home,
absolutely.
A long drive for Southeastern, you just never know. A lot of it is about how the Spartans will start. Can they return the opening kickoff? Can they get a turnover early and get a little momentum and get some confidence? Jake, why don't you take the ball and run with
swag
it?
Too.
Yep.
Well, and so here's the thing that I'm wondering: are we starting to see, because it is Homestead is almost diabolical in the ups and downs. They have a game where they win by 30, they have a game they lose by 40, and it's been like that all season.
That's really kind of a strange ebb and flow.
If they can get back to that ideology, that old school, like NHC Homestead, hard-hitting, strapped-up defense.
Correct.
And I think it's starting to come out a little bit. I think that the coaching staff over there is getting them back online with that Homestead of yesteryear. I'm real excited to see what they're going to do next season, because there was some sparks this year where you're like, hey, these guys are strapped up and hit again. And hey, why not play spoiler against Hamilton Southeastern? They've showed that they're beatable. I will say the teams that they're playing against, very difficult, but it's not impossible for Homestead to make a run at this.
Okay. I'm just glad we're getting out of 6A so we can talk about 5A. I'm going to come to you first, and then we're going to come to you because you're a Warsaw guy, and I know you've got a soft spot in your heart.
It's nice to be
No,
here.
we're out of
It might be my last time, but it's not. It's his basement. It's Casey's
Joe,
basement.
do I need to remind you it's
Might be
basement?
my last time, folks, but you know what? I'll tell you what I think.
I
You know what
think
I mean?
I think I was going to say I think the spray tan got to his brain.
We weren't
All right.
supposed to talk about
All
that.
right.
We promised.
All right,
All
right.
Joe, I'm going to make you strip down to your thong
Okay.
and show your muscles off here in a minute if you don't behave. All right, go ahead and start the clock. I'm going to come to you first. You got about a minute and a half.
Okay. I'll be
I
quick.
want you to talk about sectional 11, class 5A. We've got Warsaw at Concord, but I want you to talk about the second game, Northside at Goshen. Remember, these are the Legends versus the Redhawks. BS. They should both be Redskins, but that's another
Yes, they
story
should
for
be.
another day.
Correct.
What are your thoughts about Northside in this sectional, Joe?
Honestly, I thought they got a good draw.
For sure.
I mean, if I'm Northside, I'm happy to play Goshen. I think they can win that game. I think that I'm thankful that Concord and Warsaw can have their gang war on the other side of the bracket because
Yep.
those teams are
They're going to
awesome.
beat each
I
other
mean,
up.
and that game last year between Concord and Warsaw was an instant classic.
Right.
I mean, two great programs, two great teams. So
Can Northside win this thing?
yes, I
Because
think
they're going to
North-
be in the
I
championship.
think
You agree they're
Northside
there.
will be in the championship, and they should have a home game if I understand the way it works. I think they'll be able to host the championship game if I'm not mistaken. I think Jake's not going to like this. I think it's probably going to be Concord.
Concord
Okay.
really
Concord
bullied
is
Warsaw earlier
loaded,
this year.
but again, I know you don't like that. But hopefully, Bart Ball can all of a sudden make
Keep it
that
close.
a tight game
Yeah.
and keep it close. But again, Northside has not hit their ceiling yet.
No,
Northside has not played a complete game. Northside
Nowhere
has
close.
and they've not hit their ceiling.
Yeah.
So all of
So
a
they're
sudden,
scary.
So they're scary.
Yeah.
If you can play well tomorrow night with Snyder, that would be a big feather in their cap. I think you can handle Goshen, and all of a sudden, I would say to the kids, "Look, this is Concord. This is probably the team that everybody thinks will make it to the state championship. Come on down, bring them on,
Yep.
let's go." But I
Well,
think Northside.
nice shot of Caleb Kingley here in game night this
he's
week.
getting better.
He's
I mean,
getting better. And if he's able, think about
correct.
if they're able to run the ball
Correct.
consistently, how that sets up that passing game,
That's the key.
they
Agreed.
could be so dangerous.
Agreed.
And they could really pull an upset in round
Agreed.
2, presumably against Concord. But I'm going to ask you, Jake Smith, you're a Warsaw guy. What are your thoughts about Warsaw's chances here, knowing that they didn't play particularly well against Concord earlier this year?
I was working concessions at the Warsaw game that night, and I believe, not to toot my own horn, that might have been the highest concession sales of the season at that Warsaw game.
You were magical that
We were
night.
magical. I was outstanding running the nacho cheese dispenser and doubling down,
I see
helping
you.
with hot dogs. I was all over the place. And I will say, it's just as militant in the concession stand as Coach Curtis has on the football field. If you're not doing your job, they're going to let you know.
It
you
wasn't
better
that night,
produce.
though.
Now, and here's the thing
to
with
be
that.
fair, it was
To
not,
be fair,
yeah. Concord really
Concord's
bullied them.
quarterback just committed to Valpo, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. They're a heck of a football program. This is definitely kind of their year. They've got their retribution for what happened in sectional play last year against Warsaw. But I will say,
I think
and
it's a lot closer this year.
in the Tigers'
You think so?
defense, there was a lot of turnovers, a lot of balls hitting the deck in that game. And it's typical Warsaw football. They're going to run triple option flex bone. If you get down 2 or 3 scores, it's going to become out of reach. If they keep this thing like they do, play sound defense with that
They
black plague
could-
attack,
They
this could be a closer game than people
yeah,
think.
No, I think
And I
it's
am a
closer
homer.
than the regular season match for sure. I think the Minutemen probably get it done, especially playing at home. But I'm with you guys. I'm excited to see them potentially come down here
Can you
and play that talented Northside team. And like
Yes.
you said, they put it all together.
look out?
Do not count out the Legends. All right, Class 4A, give us 4 minutes on this. This is a mother of a sectional 19. Wayne at Southside. You've got New Haven at East Noble. On the top half of the bracket, you've got Columbia City at DeKalb, and then Dwenger at Leo. My goodness, I don't even know where to start here. The Swami says East Noble's the favorite. Lurking, Dwenger, Leo, DeKalb. That's also with Nate Foster being healthy. And then the dark horses, Columbia City and Southside. Joe, I'll let you start.
I think East Noble's going to, East Noble got a great draw for
They
the
did.
other teams, for Columbia City, DeKalb, Leo, Dwanger.
That's
Wow, what a
tough.
gauntlet to go through. I think Dwanger matches up well with Leo because Leo wants to run the football, and I think that totally matches up with Dwanger. I think
agree.
Dwanger will handle Leo. I think what's going to be interesting is DeKalb Dwanger game. I don't think the Whitley is going to beat DeKalb again. You know, I would love to see the flex bone gone, you know, from the Whitley. I think that's completely, totally holding them back. But I think DeKalb and Bishop Dwanger in that semifinal is going to be an
That
absolute.
could be a doozy.
That could be a doozy.
That'll
And
be at
don't-
Shields Field.
Yeah, and don't be surprised as much as East Noble has been dominant. Don't be surprised if DeKalb or Dwanger gives East Noble an absolute game. I
Rises
think
up.
it's a fantastic sectional.
I
I
do
think
too.
East Noble got a tremendous break with the draw. And honestly, I think it's kind of, I wish they would seed the sectionals, but I'm kind of okay with it because I feel like DeKalb, Columbia City, Dwanger, and Leo are kind of the contenders to challenge East Noble. So they got to go through each other. Somebody's going to come through
East
and be
Noble
battle
would
tested.
deserve to be
I agree.
the
I
top
agree with that.
seed.
They would.
and
I'm telling
but
you
they
what.
did get a pretty easy draw. I'll ask you this: could Southside rise up in the second round and beat East Noble, or at least scare them?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
I don't. Here's my take on East Noble. Yes, they're 8-0. They do not feel as dominant to me as they were a year ago. They don't have Dylan Creel. They don't have Matt Hatter, Logan Hatton, and several other guys off last year's team. They're very good, make no mistake. But there's something about this year's team. When I watch them on film, when I evaluate their stats and their scores, they look very, very beatable in this sectional to me. Jay, what are your thoughts?
I agree.
So first and foremost, obviously, I hope that Southside gets it done against Wayne just so they get that third win. Just how great that'd be for the program. No discredit to Wayne.
I quickly have an idea with that.
Yeah.
If we beat Wayne, can we just keep the Wayne players with us so we can be Southside and Wayne against East Noble the next week?
Hey, that
Will somebody sign
Somebody
off
might
on
sign
Can we
off
that?
on
just
that.
can we
Can
just
somebody
call it
sign off
South
on that?
Wayne?
Yeah, South and Wayne
Wayne,
against
nice.
East Noble next week. Can somebody
South
sign
Wayne.
off on that?
I'll put a petition together and see if we
We'd
can
still
get
be
that
a
done.
dog, wouldn't we, Casey?
Yeah, no,
In your
no,
book?
that would be some compelling stuff for sure.
and that's no discredit to Wayne, as they've been playing better every week, especially in the Lures game. But
Yes.
Yeah.
you think South, should win that with the skill positions. East Noble obviously getting a good draw, and New Haven's rebuilding too. So that really gets East Noble in a situation to a point that I'll make in a second. So then Columbia City, DeKalb. I'm a homer. Obviously, I hope City wins it, but DeKalb is playing lights out football right now. You got Winger, who is going to play a team of Leo that if Nick Foster's not 100% or can't go if he's on a pitch count, Dwinger's defense is so
Awesome.
nasty, and their special teams would be the best on this list by far. So when you look at that,
Especially the kicking
the
game,
kick game for
teams,
sure. You're long
Yes.
snapping, you're holding, all those facets.
I agree.
So just with how good Dwinger's defense is, they're built for this type of a run. I think it's going to be Dwenger, East Noble, and it's just going to come down to, does East Noble have the edge because they're a little bit fresher and healthier because they didn't go through a gauntlet to get there? Where Dwenger, you're playing Leo and you're playing DeKalb. I mean,
Right.
that's going to be some hard hitting football.
You know what's going to decide the whole sectional 19?
Tell me.
Can
The officiating?
Dwenger throw a forward pass?
Well, and throw it successfully.
That's it.
Yep.
Can Dwenger throw a successful forward pass? If Dwenger can pass the ball, they can win
With
the
a
sectional.
little bit of success. I
Correct.
think that
That's
I
what it
agree.
comes down to.
It's going to be a great matchup, assuming that materializes. But DeKalb, I want to give a quick shout out to that picture of Columbia City, Doug Blackwell, number 6 there, taking the handoff a little bit high. I think that's on McDevitt.
Who is
He's
that?
got to get that down. I don't know who that character
Who
is,
is
but
that
I love
kid?
his muscles, and he's running hard, and his eyes are upfield. He can't wait to hit the hole.
That is none other than Jackson Geiger's younger brother.
Get out!
Who was not only a 2022 7th grade NE8 champion, one of the best players I've ever coached, great kid, was also the following year lifter of the year in our off-season strength and conditioning
Woo, let's
program. He's a winner.
How does Game Night know? How does the Swami know to put these pictures in? Yeah,
I don't know, but those are my
And
boys
maybe-
right there.
And maybe the toughest, greatest youth kid
Yet
we ever had.
And-
What was
and-
that?
you got to love the families of those boys right there.
Great kid.
Close to both of them. The McDevitt family, absolutely fantastic.
And
Love them all.
again, the Whitley is loaded with talent.
Got some young guys coming up the pike too.
Yep.
All right, give us 2 minutes, maybe even less, because we only got one team in sectional 20 in Class 4A, and that's the Huntington North Vikings, defending sectional champs, mind you, at 3-5. They got a tough one at Logansport, 6-2, And then Frankfurt's on the bottom half there. They play the winner of Lebanon and Culver Academy. Lebanon's probably the big favorite there. And then Huntington North, if they get by the Berries, would play, I'm guessing, probably Muncie Central. So to me, a very winnable sectional, but, it's going to be, I think, really, really tough task for the Vikings. But they did it last year, Jake. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, not having Tony Decker, not having, they've still got an air attack. I don't want to say they can't throw the spread, do it well.
Lathan James, the young QB.
Just, yeah, it's not, me, it doesn't feel as stoic as it did last year with Huntington North. I felt like when they went into that sectional last season, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, they can win this thing. And then they did. This season, I think it's a little bit more of an uphill battle for them, especially when you've got Logansport in the mix early, Lebanon lurking. But it definitely can be done. The Vikings are a solid team. They're building a great program down there.
Yep. Joe, your thoughts on this one? Can the Vikings get it done?
If they can win the first one. I think
if they
can win the first one, all of a sudden they're going to have the momentum. They're going to believe. They're going to remember last year.
Be back at home.
Correct. They'll be on their way, but the first one's going to be the toughie.
Yeah, Logansport is a pretty good football team at 6-2, and then they've established some tradition here in the last 20 years as well.
Correct.
Okay, let's get into 3A. I would say for this one, we've got some local teams for sure, so maybe 3 minutes, Jackson. Sectional 26, you've got Garrett at Fairfield, both at 3-5. You've got Woodland. We talked about the Warriors tonight at 2-6 at Lakeland. Quietly, the Lakers sit at 5-3 and seem to me to be a really dangerous team, especially with Braden Holbrook, the senior quarterback. Really nice picture of him tonight on game night. Tippy Valley 6-2 at Angola. To your point, Joe, I think playing at home, the Hornets could be a sleeper there.
Yes.
And then Concordia at West Noble. West Noble's still never won a sectional championship. It's hard to believe, especially as good as they've been these last few years. I just got a sneaky feeling they get it done this year. It's not going to be easy. Joe, I'm going to start with you. What are your thoughts on this sectional?
I agree. I think the best thing that happened to West Noble was to lose that game to Churubusco.
Yep.
And I think all of a sudden, Monty can circle the wagons. He can
get their attention.
He can get their attention. He can be tougher. And I think West Noble is the team that will come out of that sectional. I think they'll break that streak this year.
I hope so.
I think Tippy Valley, but I think Tippy Valley is going to get a war with Angola. But I think this is West Noble's year, and I think West Noble will break through in that sectional.
From the top half, Jake, Garrett, defending champs, their defense is really good. The offense has really struggled, but they've got some parts there. They could be dangerous. I still think Lakeland probably comes out of the top half. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I feel like Lakeland can get it done in that top half. And Garrett, although feeling down the season, it's crazy to see what the Railroaders are building. I just saw today that their 8th grade team went undefeated in back-to-back, so 7th and 8th grade years.
Garrett?
They've not lost a game. Garrett's middle school has not lost a game in 2 years.
So watch out, Garrett.
So there's another team just like Belmont where there's guys coming up, and they're just reloading right now. After the season they had last year, I mean, what a run. And now it's not the same team as last year, but they're playing great defensive football. I just think in that top half it's Lakeland, but overall I still feel like West Noble, this is, like Joe said, with that loss to Busco, what should ignite them to finally get it done into.
Man, I sure hope so. If for no other reason, just for Coach Maywater, who's been there forever, for that community. They love their football up there. They've been so close, in recent years. And it would be really cool to see the West Noble Chargers get over that hump, get that monkey off their back, and hoist that trophy.
I think they will, but I think Garrett's going to be sneaky in that.
No, I do.
I think Garrett's going to end up in that final against West Noble.
Well, you might be onto something there, and that defense is really good.
Garrett's had some moments. I've seen them on tape where they've been dominant.
Yeah, and they've got just enough parts like the Guzman and some of those hefty QB on offense that could be dangerous. Too. Yeah, Aiden Hunt comes to mind. That kid can play. All right, give us 3 minutes in sectional 28. Really fun picture there of Darian Carswell and my boy Jonas Muya. I mean, this kid, I love this kid. He sends me DMs at like 2 or 3 in the morning. I mean, the kid doesn't sleep. I don't sleep either. All of a sudden my phone just dings. I'm like, oh, it's just Jonas. I mean, he'll just say, what's up, Swami? I love that kid. I can't wait to see where he goes, where he ends up, because he's got some options.
So much potential.
But Bishop Lures and Mississinawa, they played a year ago in a classic matchup, and the Knights were victorious. I think they're the favorites. You've got Heritage lurking. You got Oak Hill and Delta as the dark horses. I think, again, this is probably Lures sectional because of all their tradition and because of the schedule that they play. But it's not going to be a cakewalk, Jake. Let me set it up for you. You got Mississinawa at Oak Hill, Jay County at Belmont in the top half. You got on the bottom half Norwell at Heritage, Lures at 4-4 at Delta. Delta's only 3-5. They're not as strong as they were a year ago or typically. So I think Lures is a pretty big favorite, at least on the bottom half of the bracket. And I would guess Mississinawa would probably be waiting for them in the championship. What are your thoughts here?
That's exactly how I feel. And Lures at 4-4. I give a major edge over Ole Miss. And Mississinawa has handedly these last few years been an exceptional program, but it's the Lures, the way that they run their defensive line, the way that they run the football, they're a playoff team every year. It's just like years ago, was it Coach Manigault with Concordia, where maybe they only win a couple of games in the regular season and then they make deep runs in the postseason because of the conference they play in. Lures is going to be very dynamic in this, and to me, it's their sectional to lose. My big question is this where Belmont can squeeze in their first win of the season in the postseason against Jay County?
Well, you remember these two teams met last year in the first round too, and Jay County put it to them.
Yes.
Now, I do agree with you. I think Belmont is better this year than last year's Belmont team. And we'd be lying if we said we weren't pulling for them.
100%.
We want the Braves to kind of get that monkey off their back and get that losing streak over. But I just think Jay County is at 2-6, maybe a better team than we're giving them credit for. Joe, I'm going to come to you. Does Lures have enough offensively, especially throwing the ball, to get out of this sectional?
No.
Okay.
Ooh.
I don't think so. I don't think Lures is that good this year, to be honest with you. I've watched a lot of the tape.
They've struggled on the offensive side to this point.
I like the kids, but if I'm Ole Miss or if I'm even Delta, I'll just slide into a 6-3 or a 6-4 and just say, okay, I'll just stop the run.
Beat us throwing the ball.
Now
well, they've really struggled throwing
when they
it.
throw it, they like to boot the quarterback out. What they like to do is bring two H-backs in and slam the ball on the edge. All I got to do is slide into a 6-3, have my ends outside arm free, get upfield. All of a sudden, I take away the rollout game. I take away the naked boots. Now, all of a sudden, I stop the run. Now I'm man-to-man. Okay, I'm man-to-man, but now that quarterback, which he hasn't done all year, he has to play in the pocket, and he has to show to me that he can do 3-step, 5-step, and he can slide step in the pocket. I don't think he can. So if I come out with these schools like Delta or Ole Miss, and I'm one of these stubborn old coaches that have been around forever, and I play a 4-3 or I play a 3. Oh, I hate the 3-man front. We won't go there. But I come out and play a 3-4 or something, then Lures is going to out physical me and beat me.
Right.
So this is
play right into their hands.
This is a game with my defense that I have to be exotic, and I have to play a hybrid defense, and I have to take away the run game. And so I play a 6-man front, or I play a 6-3, or dare I say it, I play a 7-3. I play whatever it takes to load the box. And I think whoever does that can beat Lures. Lures was losing last week to Wayne. Okay. Lures has some real deficiencies on the offensive side of the ball.
And let's remember last year, Delta upset Heritage and beat them handily in the first round. Now, I don't think this team's as good, this Delta team, but it's down there and they've got some tradition too. So this could be a potentially tricky matchup for Lures. For my money, though, I think the Knights get it done. I think they figure some things out. I think they're too good in the trenches on both sides, especially defensively. And I just think people are going to have trouble scoring against them.
I agree.
As much as Lures struggles offensively this year, their defense is so good. And there's nobody in this sectional that can throw the ball. That's where Lures is going to struggle, I think, against a good passing team. Tomorrow night at Carroll, we'll get a real good a glimpse about Lures' defense. If Carroll throws the ball all over them, which I think they need, that could be a precursor down the road in the 3A playoffs.
But doesn't Mississinawa throw the ball a little bit, Jake?
They can, yeah.
They can. Yeah, but they don't throw it like Carroll does.
They don't throw it like Carroll does. They've shifted. I used to call Ole Miss the Pony Express 3-4 years ago. They ran all over the place, and now they are adding some pass to it, so they're getting balanced.
All right, give us 3 minutes here. We're going to drop down, guys, into Class 2A. Sectional 35, you got Prairie Heights winless at Manchester. 5-3 are
The Heights are
Squires.
winless. The Heights
Heights are
this
winless.
year?
A little disappointing.
Hmm.
Whitco at 1-7 at B-side, as the Swami likes to call the Blazers, at 6-2. Central Noble 1-7. This looks like this was seeded at Adams Central 8-0, and then the best game in the first round, of course, 7-1 Bluffton at 6-2 Busco. That's going to be dynamite.
Dynamite.
Jake, I'm going to start with you. Adams Central's got to be the big favorite here, but it's not automatic because there's some people licking their chops, including Bluffton and Eastside, who both lost to the Jets earlier this year.
Yeah, with Prairie Heights being in a little bit of a rebuild this year, Manchester should get that done handedly. The Squires. Quick shout out to Whitco, Coach Thomas Tyree, defensive coordinator from Northside that went to Southwood and went down to Whitco.
You love TT.
I love Coach Tyree. He's building something special. He's putting his players in situations to compete and get better, especially down to the middle school and the youth. I think that I was a little shocked that they lost to Southwood this week, but I think they get a chance against either Wabash or Northfield this week to get to 2 games. And again, it's stepping stones, right? If you get to 2 wins, you haven't done that in a while at Whitco. I like to see that. But unfortunately for them, Eastside is going to be rolling. And so in that top half for me, Eastside runs that thing off the tracks.
I agree.
In the bottom half, Central Noble, love the Cougars. They have absolutely no shot in that game. Love you guys to death. Play hard. AC is just going to
keep the bus rolling.
The AC is going to
Don't
just
turn the bus off in that game.
Exactly.
You
63 points too much in that
What you
one,
do is
Joe?
Yeah, what you do is you warm up at your place, you get in the bus, you go over there and you say to the bus driver, leave the bus rolling.
We want it warm,
boy,
so we hop
if
right
that
on.
one little chance happens that we hop up 7-0 or 3-0,
You can shut it
we
down.
run for the bus, boys, and we run for the bus, and we hop on the bus and we take off.
Let's let you comment on this. We got about a minute left, Joe. Is this AC sectional because they're just feel like a machine, or could somebody rise up and knock them off?
No, they're going to roll through everybody. Eastside may put up a fight like Jake says. Jake likes Eastside. Eastside may put up a fight for a half in the sectional final.
What about Bluffton in rematch?
Nah.
I watched that game last week. I don't know if you guys watched it. I watched every play, and early on, Bluffton was doing really good things. I was shocked. I mean, I shouldn't have been shocked, but as I'm watching it, my eyeballs are telling me the Tigers match up well. They're moving the ball. They're doing great things. They couldn't finish drives. Adams Central was just, again, like robotic, like we talked about. They did not look like they were 30 points less of a team, in my opinion.
And I think for Bluffton, what's going to hurt is they got to have a war with Cherubusco.
Yeah.
But could
wow.
could that be the kind of game where maybe you get punched in the mouth and you have to win a street fight, and then you get a little chesty going into round 2? Whereas Adams Central, let's face it, they're going to pound Central Noble.
I love the enthusiasm. I was on Bluffton bandwagon last week. They broke me, man.
Okay.
AC is going to repeat that thing and run away.
Okay.
I think
Well,
they
we'll
should
have a lot to
reclass-
talk about
Yeah.
in the weeks ahead.
I think they should reclass AC up to 3A.
Oh my!
Put them in 4A.
Let
Good
them make another
God.
run here this year, and then we'll talk
Let's
about
get
it.
another state title. Put them in 4A. Get them out of here.
Make another.
You know
run.
what would be cool is to see them play Indy Lutheran in the and beat and get that
Yeah.
after
Oh,
losing
be off
3
the bat.
straight.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Again, Andrean. Wow, tell me that couldn't be fun. But we're getting way ahead of ourselves. All right, get out of that action. Let's get into 1A. We got 2 sectionals here. These will be really quick because we don't have a ton of teams. Give us a minute on both. Let's start with sectional 43. You've got Southern Wells at Triton. You've got Blackhawk at Fremont. Those are our local entrants. I think North Miami is going to run away with this sectional. I'd love to see Southern Wells rise up and get something done. Joe, real quick, thoughts on this one?
I like Fremont because I once won $4,000 at the Fremont out in Las Vegas.
That's
at
fair.
2-3 o'clock in the morning. So
I want to talk about Fremont real quick.
Fremont's my pick.
Fremont cracked the Swami's top
I saw
25
that.
this week.
I saw that.
But they, one of the teams they played is like one of those homeschool teams. They don't even have, they're not even a city team, so they don't count.
Yeah,
So their other 4 wins have come against teams with a 3-29 record.
I know. Well, they had a good buffet back in the day for the Fremont.
Did they ever?
Fremont
$4,000 in your back pocket, huh?
Yeah, and I had crabs and steak at about 3 o'clock in the
Hey,
morning.
you know
life was
what?
Pretty good.
Those crabs are your own business. We don't need to know about that. All right. How about you, Jake?
It is North Miami's probably, I would say, sectional to lose. They're going to be heavily favored. Crazy stat about North Miami. My ag teacher, Jim Wildermuth, was a running back at North Miami, if I recall correctly, in his younger years.
Wow.
FFA coordinator as well. Northfield, definitely not favored in that game. A quick shout out in the Triton game. My son is actually going to Triton's Week 9 matchup this week as they drew Southern Wells in the first round. Lucas Nicely, one of my son's best friends, is a sophomore linebacker, and he's an absolute unit. This is like a Brian Urlacher style player in the small schools. Triton should win that game.
Pulling that out. Of your
Fremont
backside.
definitely should be favored against Blackhawk. With
Coverage on
Carmine,
1A. Let's go.
little Carmine Moreno running the
Triton
football at the
shout-out.
Fremont.
Coffee.
Yeah, so
Yes.
I think that North Miami should win this thing, but I think Triton's a little bit of dark horse in there.
You
Wow.
need some decaf
Beautiful.
next
That
time.
was
My
beautiful.
mercy. That was
that was the
Five
best,
Lakes infused.
That was the best 1A.
For sure.
They should have them on the statewide tournament draw doing 1A ball, man.
no
I'm like,
doubt.
that was fantastic.
Well, we're not even out of 1A. Let's jump into sectional 44.
Stay with Jake.
I guess so. We only have one local team, and that's the South Adams Starfires. The Swami thinks they're the favorite here. Jake, what are your thoughts?
It's crazy. I agree. I don't think
Titus Lehman is a little dinged up and did not play last week. So my understanding is he's going to play a little bit tomorrow night, but that's something to keep an eye on.
yeah, I mean,
at South Adams.
I think if they beat Madison Grant, they're good to go. And nothing against the other teams. Cambridge City Lincoln 0-8, Union City 2-6, West Dell and Tri are going to punch each other in the mouth in that game for sure. So you're going to come out of that game playing against two teams that whoever wins that's going to be banged up. If South Adams can get healthy right there, they got a good shot to win this sectional.
And listen, what do we always say too about teams going into the playoffs? You've got to be built for November.
Yes.
You got to be able to run the ball. That's hurt South Adams because they've been so top heavy throwing the ball. There's a nice shot of Will Patterson, the junior running back. They do have that component this year more than they've had in last year. I think he could be the difference in them making another run. Your thoughts, Joe?
I'm going to yield my time to Jake Smith.
No,
Not enough caffeine in your system?
I agree. You're looking at the same thing in one way as we talked about Carolyn 6A. They're so top heavy with the passing game, and now they're establishing a little bit of the run. They get healed up at the right time and come in. Man, I'm really excited for South Adams and that.
Okay,
That,
Jackson,
sectional.
get us to the snake page. Keep the microphone. Why don't you give us how many you need? 3 minutes here?
Sure.
No, I know. I have a feeling he's going to take whatever he wants, but let's give him 3 minutes. Talk about this last feature, Jake, if you would, the on the snake page. Another fine showing by you this year. Thank you again for that.
Well, I wanted to it kind of brought everything full circle, I thought, with how this went. And in the preseason, when we talked about how we wanted to do this, Casey and I spoke, and it was like, hey, we already highlight all the kids. We already highlight all the players 24/7
Let's
in
mix it up.
Rivals.
Yeah.
They already know who all the kids are that are going here and going there. And we do enough on the social media side, sharing and blasting out tweets with these kids and their film and where they're going to camps and these things. So I thought it was a great idea by Casey to say, hey, why don't we try to give some insight on what does it take to actually play college football? Who wants to play college football? What does that process look like? And this started for me a few years ago, and this is why it's come full circle. Is some of the guys in this picture, Cam and Landon Livingston. I wrote a piece for Summit City, and it was based on the high senior laden class that they had in Landon's class. And man, you had DJ Allen that went to Rutgers. I think they had 6 or 7 kids that went on to play college
Mason
football.
Jackson's going to get to see him at Purdue here
Yes.
in a few weeks.
Yeah,
Jackson
Mason
Barber, who again full circle was the quarterback whose father is sponsor of this picture at the bottom, and huge shout out to Mike. It goes full circle where I learned some of these basic concepts, and they're usable in all sports, was from the Livingston family. So Rob said, man, we really appreciated what you did in that article. We've got these guys going here and there. Did you know my other son actually played college football too at Valpo? And I said, man, I didn't know that. That's cool. We start talking. These guys took an hour and a half out of their time in the middle of the week one night after that article dropped, got me on a conference call and said, is there anything else you want to know? And I said, guys, how did you guys do this? What's the playbook for this? If there were other kids, like just even being selfish and saying, if there's Columbia City kids that want to do this, what's the process like? How do we promote these kids? How do we help? What do we do? And they literally gave me a step-by-step
Like
playbook,
a blueprint.
a blueprint of what to do. And it's all answered in these questions, and it's all been answered over the course of these last 9 weeks. So I encourage you guys, if you missed any issues at game night, if anything else, not just for the stats and for the great pieces and the photography and the games and the matchups and the picks, take these copies and cut this page out and put those 9 pages together, because we tried to give you the blueprint of what it takes. What schools are available in state? How can you get the most money? How can you lean on your academics to maybe forecast some additional funds in there in lieu of the athletics? Where is going to be a place that you're going to love that's going to give you the most money? Where's this place going to be that has a degree that's going to help you? And Rob nails it in these things. What an outstanding guy, an outstanding team and community at Leo, with all these parents that have come together to put some of this information in here. I love what he says, and Joe actually alluded to this a couple of weeks ago. Football becomes a vehicle, your athletics become a vehicle, and you're making these contacts, and you're getting placed in these high-paying, high-level careers coming out of school, and that's what it's about. So no matter what happens to these guys and what happens, Rob is a prime example as a father who has 2 sons who have played college football at a high level, who Landon is now a starting offensive lineman at West Virginia with a high-caliber projection for he may go. He could be drafted in the NFL, or if he doesn't, he's going to be a great member of his society. His other son is now transferred to Toledo and is in law school, and even her daughter, I think Ellie is her name. Correct me if I'm right.
Coastal Carolina.
She's at Coastal Carolina interning in the athletics department. So this is top tier information, and I'm so thankful to Rob and so thankful to Mike and these guys.
Jake, I want to interrupt you real quick. I love this, by the way. It was so fun to read and kind of help compile it. A lot of great information here. It's basically, folks, if you're watching, it's a Q&A where Jake the Snake had a question, and Rob Livingston, who's a father but also an assistant coach. Now, he's taking a year off right now so he can follow his son's team at West Virginia. But he's basically a Leo guy. Yep. And he's been there for years. Were there 1 or 2 answers in this that you thought were most, I don't know, telling from a parent's perspective? Because I think as much as this can help kids, this is really for parents. I totally agree. I wasn't surprised by some of the basic questions I asked. Question 1 was, what advice can you give parents whose players go into the process? It was a great answer. What was the most rewarding part? Obviously, any proud dad's going to have a good answer there, and he did. What I liked was, did you notice any differences in the way your boys were recruited? Because you had one that went to Valpo, which is Division I FCS, and another one that went to a Power 4 school. And his answer is very, very, it's very interesting. Telling. It's very telling because, guys, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what level of football you're playing. NAIA D2, go where they love you. It doesn't matter. If you're playing high school football, and he said the same stat that I've been preaching all year, 7% of high school athletes get to go on and compete collegiately. Go where you're getting noticed. Go where they love you. Go where those coaches are sending you mail and sending you good luck tweets before you play on Friday nights. I love that answer. Yes. And then I love the feedback on how they made their college choices. This was outstanding, and I wouldn't have expected this, just not being able to go through the process myself. They did it as a family. And so every family is different, right? Maybe your parent or guardians, your aunt, no, whatever that looks like. Get a different set of optics on that. Hey, what does grandma and grandpa think about this? Hey, how did they recruit us? Did they just talk to the player? Or in this case, they had recruitment that was going on. They were reaching out to Landon and his sister, reaching out to other parts of the family and getting little digs in that way to separate themselves. And that's going to tell you what schools love you when they go through that process and say, hey, let's learn a little bit something extra. Hey, it's not just, hey, player, you played great on Friday night. It's, hey, player, you were great. And by the way, I hope your little dog, the Shih Tzu Terrier that you have, has a good weekend too. They key in on those little things, and you go, please don't use that language on the show. but just those things of only Joe can drop S-bombs. Right. But wait a minute. How did Coach know I had a little dog? Yeah. He had to have done some research on that. Correct. Man, you know what? That guy actually likes me a little bit more than just a football player. He wants to develop me as a man. I thought it was great. And thank you for all your submissions this year. This one there was a lot there. I'll just tie it together. I thought the one thing from a parent's perspective, and I can relate to this having gone through a couple kids that have played sports in college. The one thing that I want to echo is that Coach Livingston said was enjoy the moment. Yes. It's hard when you're a parent we're all parents, we get it. You want the best for your kid. Sometimes you feel like they're getting shortchanged. Are they missing the boat on something? And you miss out on the whole process.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was really telling and really good advice for parents to, like, you know what, take a deep breath. You want to, do your due diligence, help your child. But at the end of the day, be grateful. You're blessed.
Absolutely.
Enjoy that ride, because it's gone. And when it's gone, it's gone. All right. Thank you, Jake.
And yeah, what's kind of interesting too, real quick, is when I went to Landon's graduation party, you're right, Jake, there was like a handwritten note every week from the offensive line coach from West Virginia.
Yeah. Isn't that cool?
And what else was interesting about Landon was, I don't know.
How was the graduation cake? Was it yummy?
Oh, it was fantastic. The food was fantastic, man. We had pulled pork. It was just,
damn, I should have went.
What people don't realize too about Landon is Landon started off as a kid. His mom had him like dancing in like Disney shows. So think about that. I think he's the starting center for West Virginia right now.
He's got great feet.
So I love Landon. We sent him out a box of treats when he was redshirting out there. But I love Landon. But Landon started off because Landon always had great feet. I asked him, "How did you get your feet so good?" Well, I was a Disney dancer. I just thought that was funny. He's like, yeah, what is he, Jake?
No, he's a big
he was
dude.
Smashing people on the neck. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And then get big in size. He would eat 3 to 4 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches every day. So I think
great.
Credit to Jake. This is a great article. It really you kind of get a chance to pull back the curtain and see what the process is.
Yeah.
But my gosh, is that a great family? And my gosh, did Landon work his tail off to get to where he is. And I'm a big Landon Livingston fan.
Well, and we're fans of all the kids in the Game Night Nation, right? We want
we love
them all. We love seeing these kids get opportunities.
That's what we love.
And we love seeing, them play at the next level, at any level.
Any level. And Jake made a great point again, the alumni. You go there and play, the alumni is going to buddy up with you, like you. Maybe you don't go play some pro ball, but that alumni, like Jake said, the alumni is going to get you your first job.
These kids that play college sports, not just football, and a lot of these companies are looking for college athletes.
Yes.
They want grinders,
discipline,
and there's something to be said for seeing that through. So well done, Jake. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It's a great opportunity. I appreciate everybody that helped me with the interviews and submissions and stuff this year. It was great.
And you love the Swami.
Well,
all right, let's go to the leaders board real quick here. Real quick, just a minute or two, guys. Passing, Gabe Freisinger from Carroll just passed Jaden Rivers. Look at their numbers: 2170 for the Carroll QB, 2156 for Northside's QB. We're 14 yards, guys, going into week 9.
It'll be interesting to see what happens with that. But Freisinger, what I like so much about him is, and credit to, if you're out there watching, Gabe, credit to you, the ball comes out so fast.
Yeah.
He knows where he's going with it.
Been well coached by Amy Papagiannis and that
very well coached. And when that back foot hits, the ball comes out.
Let's not forget David Callison. He's got 2,115. Look
They're
at those three.
They're
it's
in there.
Unbelievable. So right now it's kind of a 3-headed race between those guys. Let's talk about rushing. Nate Foster, we talked about him. If he's not 100%,
sure.
Joe Bridgman. Does a QB win the rushing title?
Wouldn't that be something?
If they win, especially if they win 2 or 3 games? Well, again, they'd have to beat Adam Central to win 3, but they could win 2. And then beyond that, a lot of run. I mean, it's amazing when you think about it, with the exception of Austin Phillips on this list, not a lot of teams that were projecting to go very far in the playoffs, which is kind of interesting. Receiving, another great race. Jaden Van Pelt, who missed 1 game at the beginning of the year.
JVP is just
awesome.
elevating himself.
Jimmy Linker, look at him rising up to number 2 in the area. Quay Guilford, Ohio State grad, not even on the top 10. I think he's 11th or 12th. Yeah, and it just shows you the depth out at Northrop, and also that when people are game planning, they're paying extra attention to Quay.
And Quay's been great. Quay hasn't been selfish. Quay understands if they double him,
his role.
And Northrop's offensive lines play better, they run the ball. So hats off to Quay for being a team player. We all know how great he is, but you like to get the ball a little more. But he's handled that real well.
And he's done some Wildcat, and he's playing some defense too. And they're having an epic season out at Northrop.
Another kid I want to mention real quick, who I love, he lives in my district, is Carter Kennedy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Carter's a heck of a player.
He's a player.
He is so underrated. Great player.
No, there's great. The receivers are great. This is arguably one of the best collections of receivers. Like when you have an Ohio State guy that's not even on the top 10.
Exactly.
It tells you a lot.
And Wheel has the Purdue offer. I think Malik will have
big time Big Ten offer.
I
a lot
do
of those
too.
guys. So there's a lot of talent there. I think Alex Scott on the other side of the ball.
Wes Somerset, I think, might get a MAC offer
I
from
think
South
he'll-
Adams.
Yeah, he could get a MAC offer. And I think Alex
Scott could play safety at a decent size
I
school.
agree.
Same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
Yep.
just a junior, I believe.
Yeah.
All right. And a quick shout out to Keon Beasley, 8.5 sacks. I would have sworn Beasley was EY, but I looked at his headshot where you do the dry erase board. Sure looks like LY.
Yeah.
I asked coach, and he's like, go with LY.
Yeah.
So if that's
And-
spelled wrong, Mama Beasley, please don't come after me.
Yeah.
Gavin Smith sitting at 6 picks.
Yeah.
That kid's a ball hawk. I want to see where Gavin goes at the next
He's-
level. I hope he plays in
Yeah,
college.
he's the Ed Reed of the two.
He's a
So
ball hawk.
football.
Yep.
And Beasley and Pittman.
again.
Isn't that nice?
Yes.
We've got
Southside.
we've got some guys,
Some dogs.
some dogs. So we've just, and it'll be interesting to see.
And
how we
they
handle it.
have not been fixed. Right? You're going to bring one of them out
Hey,
there, bring all
I
their
got in
junk, and just
trouble
bring
one
that
time.
pit bull, or was
Yeah, I
it
got in
was a
trouble.
Rottweiler or a pit bull? Are you bringing out?
I'm
tomorrow
bringing a
night?
Rottweiler on the
Okay.
bus tomorrow night, but I gotta be careful with the SPCA because the one time I talked about how the Whitley had dogs on chains. You know the the
They
dogs
come
get
at-
on
they'll
chains
come after
for
you.
a while. Yeah, so I gotta be careful.
They're like
The
they're worse than the
SPCA.
IRS.
I gotta watch out for the IRS, the SPCA. I also gotta watch out for giving out my gold and silver advice because if you notice, gold's up over $4,300 an ounce.
You
Silver's
can always
over
jump on the
$53
Bitcoin
an ounce. So
It's
the
okay.
SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, hates me for pushing gold and silver. And then once again, I really
You
wish
love
that-
Burl Ives.
Yeah.
Silver and gold.
Yep, silver and gold. And
That's
again,
beautiful.
It's coming. Christmas is coming, boys, whether we like it or not.
and it's coming up, man. That's right. Fall's finally here. It feels like, right?
Blowing
true.
smoke real quick. What are your thoughts on any of the movement here? Swami put East Noble back to the top of the heap.
Agree
Carroll
with that.
leapfrogged Dwenger and Northrop to number 2. Adams Central all the way up to number 5. DeKalb all the way up to number 7. Bluffton dropped down to 9. Homestead cracked the top 10. Lures right outside at 11. Busco, Eastside, West Noble, 3 NECC schools rounding out the top 14. Jake, any thoughts on the
I
Swami's
like-
top 25?
I like the 12, 13, 14 roll you've got there with Busco. They edged East Side in the regular season matchup there in the conference play. So you got that going there. Snyder at 15. I don't know. I feel like they're a little bit lower than that, but that's just me. How is AC not higher than 5? 8-0. Just beat their rival. You know, there's I don't know, man. I feel like they're
Who would you take out? Who would you put them above?
Dwenger, Northrop.
No.
Both of them.
Dwenger scrimmaged them. I saw the scrimmage. Dwenger would beat AC. Sorry.
Wow.
I'm just saying. I saw the scrimmage. It's fine.
You're a homer. You're a homer.
I'm not. I don't have any kids here anymore.
Not anymore.
I'm not donating any money or anything.
gold.
Do we? So is
Do you love this feature, though, this year?
Should
First of
Casey
all-
be
first
under
of all,
investigation
I
for
love
being
it.
a
Just
private
first of
Dwenger
all,
donor?
I'm
Just
gonna buy
because,
you a smoke
just
jacket.
because the Swami happens to look a little bit like me, it's not me. I'm Casey O'Boyle, game night editor. This Swami character is somebody else. He smokes cigars, probably SPCA with his dogs. I mean, you talk about, but the dogs do not inhale the cigars, okay? And they are of age. Joe, what are your thoughts on
The
this?
only thing I would pick at with that, who I think is too low, I think Homestead is too low. I think Homestead, I want to give credit
Homestead,
to them.
yeah.
I thought the staff got the kids, pulled them together, and
So you put them up what?
Homestead at 8.
8, 9?
I'd move them up to about 6 or 7. I would say, look, if I can get Homestead to get the offensive line to put the hand in the turf,
2 up and down.
yep. If
For
they
the
could put
Swami.
if they could put the hand in the turf, I'm willing to buy a 5-man sled. And if we can get on the sled the next 3 weeks, I think that Homestead could be a good team. I think the front 7, the defensive side, they've been excellent, man. I like the front 7. I can't think of the junior kid, the running back, who runs really hard for them. I'm sorry.
Bardwell. Shane
Bardwell. Thank you.
Yeah,
I knew
buddy.
you would know that. I love Bardwell. Bardwell's a dog. I think, and I love the receivers. I mean, and the quarterback, my gosh, he's their offense, Case. He can
Logan
throw it.
Frieden.
And I if I
You
was
like Carter Kennedy,
if I
Liam
played,
Moore,
if
they
I
got
played
some
Homestead,
targets.
yeah, if I played Homestead, I would definitely have a spy on that quarterback. He's that good. So I think that that's a team again. I think that if they would embrace the physicality, I think that's a team that could do some damage. So I would put them a little higher.
I know we got to wrap it up, but do we want to tackle these or no? It's up to you.
It's your
Sure,
basement.
let's go. Let's go.
It is my basement. I say yes.
I
still
All right,
here.
give us 2
I
minutes.
find myself reading some of this stuff that I hadn't read yet, and I'm just dying over here.
Again, the Swami, he's a character. Yeah, that guy.
The Beagles have dropped 4 of their last 5.
That could have been a typo.
Outstanding.
That could have been a typo. You never know.
Oh my!
All right, real quick, 2 minutes. We're gonna do. We got 2 buy and sells, 2 either ors. We're gonna do buy and sell. Let's stay on timer, guys. I'm gonna cut you off.
Okay.
SAC Summit Athletic Conference will win more than one sectional this year. Are you buying or selling that? No.
I'm selling that. I think the only team that's going to win a conference championship in the SAC will either be Northrop or Carroll.
So a
And they're
6A
matched up.
title and nothing else. No Northside, no Dwenger, no Lures. You don't believe in them. What about you?
I sell. I think they get 2, maybe 3, definitely 2.
I
think,
agree.
I think Lures gets it done, Carroll gets it done, and then Dwyer's going to be a 50-50 for me.
I totally agree. That's where I lie with this too. I think Lures and I think 6A is a shoo-in because there's 3 of the 4 schools are there. I don't think Elkhart survives that section.
I'm Ole Miss or I'm Delta. Play a 7-man front. Lures done.
Well, maybe they'll call you, Joe, and
I
they'll
think
get
they do.
some. They'll get some financial advice and some coaching.
Well, we could do debits and credits, and we can do.
You
but
could
we can
do all of that.
we
You
can
could
do all
even
that.
tell them about your tanning stuff that you got going
Well,
on.
that, and I have
Sexy
a-
beast, you sexy beast.
I don't know. I don't know if that's a good thing to be called down the basement.
Holy
Jackson.
mackerel.
Jackson, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be a sexy beast.
Next
down
time,
the
Joe, you
basement.
come over to my house half naked like that, I'm gonna punch you right in the neck. Button up your shirt.
Button
You
up your
sick
shirt.
son of a bitch. All right, now let's go either or. Joe, I'm coming to you first. Give me 2
man.
minutes.
Uh-oh.
We're going off the rails. Give me 2 minutes here, Jackson. That we're done with that. So two of us are buying that. You're selling. All right.
Right.
Either or. And this is right now. Coach of the year is either Quentin Bowen from Northrop or Ryan Robertson from DeKalb. You got to pick one. Who do you like? And again, a lot can happen in the playoffs and everything else. Right now, for your money, who's?
But I have to pick one of those.
You got to
two.
pick one of those two. If you got somebody else you want to throw out there,
No, yeah. I mean, I'm going to Cal.
you're taking Ryan Robertson.
Yeah, Ryan Robertson's done a fantastic job up
Do
there.
they have to? I'll throw a caveat. Do the Barons have to beat Leo tomorrow night for the first time ever to validate that? In your opinion,
Absolutely.
Okay, so if that pushes them over the edge. What if
Potentially.
you and the Bruins rise up and win sectional 2? Does that change? it?
Okay, so if we're going to throw that out there, what if AC wins another state title?
Just relax over there, big fella.
Okay.
That caffeine is. I mean,
just
you're
saying.
about ready to pass out.
It might be. So, yeah, I think they got to beat Leo. And then for Coach Q, who's done an outstanding job, him and his
That's
staff, I think if they can win that rematch against Carroll.
Anybody
good
else
Lord.
in this conversation right now? Is it Coach Mosier? At
Yeah,
Adams
Coach
Central?
Mosier at Adams Central to me is
Alex Brandewy up at Eastside, Paul Sade at Cherubusco.
gosh, you got to give a little love to Coach Sade.
Especially
That's
with
a
the way
great
they played
season
lately, right?
for sure. Let's
Okay.
see what these guys do in the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think, Joe?
I would go with Q. I think Northrop was so dead
Yeah,
going into this year. Now, obviously, David was taken away last year, unfortunately, and they didn't have the season to really compete. But
they picked up a couple pieces in the secondary, right? And D Hogue and Davion Surrey that have really
that's a great
taken them
point.
to another level.
I totally agree.
But
That's a great
I
point.
think their trench play
has been fantastic.
is what
I totally agree. I would go with Q because when I watched the Dwenger Northrop game,
I
that
love
was
their adjustments.
I thought that was some of the best in-game adjustments I've seen. I think Casey, you make a great point. The trench play is so much better for Northrop.
Right.
And so that's exciting. So I'm really impressed with Coach Robertson. I just think that the spread they have up there, the multiple formations, I mean, they attack you so many different ways. And those guys are always coaching. But I would go with Q because I think Northrop has come so far. And I think the play in the trenches.
That's fair. You know,
is
somebody
so
else
different.
that we didn't talk about, Alex Stewart. I mean, again, when you're expected,
Yeah.
they're 8-0.
Yep.
They're conference champs, right? He deserves to be in this
So
conversation.
fair
And I
point.
think Jason Dorfler at 7-1. I
He's a
mean,
great
you could
coach.
make an argument for him if they beat DeKalb tomorrow without Nate Foster.
Fair point.
Maybe they deserve some of that. And then Jason Garrett out at Bishop Dwenger.
Yeah, Jason.
You know, they're
Dorfler.
6-2.
Jason Dorfler's a great coach. I mean, he's done such a good job.
All right, buy or sell. 2 minutes, Jackson. 8. Huntington North will repeat as sectional champs. It's probably just a minute. Are you buying or selling that?
If they win opening week, yes, I buy it.
Obviously to win it, they'd have to win opening week. So
That's the.
I mean, do you think
Logansport.
do you think they win opening week?
Man, I guess when you put it that way, that sucks. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, they're going to win sectional 20. I'll buy it.
You're buying that.
Yeah.
What are you buying or selling?
If they had Logansport at home, I'd buy, but it's on the road. I'm going to sell.
I
I just think it's a little much. I hope they do because I'm impressed with what they're doing.
Yes.
I just think that's a little bit of a tall hill to climb this year.
I agree. And they've been just erratic enough on both sides of the ball this year more than last year. I think their senior class is good, but maybe not as dominant as last year's. I think it's a tall task. I'm probably selling this as well, if for no other reason, because they have to go to Logansport in the first game. But to your point, they win
after opening night.
They might.
Yeah, you'll know after opening night in the playoffs.
That conceivably could be for the championship. They get some momentum there, but they're a fun team to watch, and Coach Eschbach has done a great job down there.
Agreed.
For sure. And if they win back-to-back sectionals, guess what? He might vault himself into the conversation for game night coach of the year, too.
Right.
And that's the nice thing about the playoffs is a lot of the stuff, the dust will settle.
Correct.
All right, last one. This is another either or. Right now, player of the year, and you can throw in a few other names if somebody pops in your head. Is it Riley Biddle from East Noble or the QB safety, both ways for the undefeated East Noble Knights, or is it Nate Foster? Again, take his injury out of the situation, the running back, defensive back for Leo Snake.
I know player of the year tends to be a senior. For me, it's neither of those guys, it's Jamison Roach, but of those guys,
I like Jamison Roach.
If Nate Foster can get healthy enough to make just a little bit more production, I like to lean with him. They really leaned on him for a good 5 weeks of the 6 weeks even of the season.
Yep.
And became a run dominant team. And Coach Dorfor's done a good job of being, multifaceted there, but they really lean on him. He's a playmaker for him.
He's been the best running back for sure all year before his injury, and he's pretty good on the defensive side of the ball too.
Absolutely.
Joe, I'm always partial to two-way guys. And for my money, I'm leaning a little bit towards Riley Biddle because of the leadership skills, because of the numbers, being a returning starter on both sides of the ball and being so durable. Again, I like both these guys because they play on both sides and they're so good. What are your thoughts? And are we missing anybody through 8 weeks that needs to be in the conversation besides Jamison Roach?
The only one I would put in the conversation, I'd put Gabe Preisinger from Carroll in the conversation.
Junior quarterback's been
I think
really
he's played
good.
really good because at times in the beginning of the year, Carroll had no run game, so he had to carry him.
Anybody from Northrop? Is David Callison in that conversation?
Yeah,
Is it Quay
David Callison's
Guilford?
kind of on
D.
the
Hogue?
edge. I think David Callison could be in that conversation. I really like Preisinger, but I'm with you. I go with Riley. I think he's the best player on the best team. And, to play quarterback and to go out and play safety on the other side of the ball. I mean, he's the leader. He's the one the kids look towards. I think he's the best player in the area and the best team.
Okay. This is going to be rapid fire. We got to get Jake home before that caffeine wears off. Featured matchups. I'm just going to ask for just a snippet and your pick. Bishop Lures at Carroll. Swami's got Carroll by 35. Joe, too many or not enough?
I think it might even be more. I think that's a woodshed game.
42 plus?
I think it'll be about 40.
Okay. Jake?
Yeah, Carroll 35 or more.
Okay, so 36 or more because the Swami gets all pushes. I don't know if you knew that or not.
I did.
This isn't the Fremont Casino.
So we lay the I'd lay the points.
Yes.
Okay. All right, Snyder at Northside. Jake coming to do. Swami's got Northside by 9.
That's I was thinking 8 or 9 myself. I like Northside in this one. I think if they can get things going and use those skill position players, 9 or more.
Okay. Joe?
I think that will be a little bit closer. I think Northside will win. I think that'll be a 3 or 4 point game.
I kind of feel that way too. The more this week's gone on,
I'm glad
I
they're
think
playing it because in their infinite wisdom, they decided not to play that game when they went to what was it?
Is it
Middle
big
division,
school
or
and
what is it?
whatever it is now?
What
Big
is it?
school,
Middle
small
Oh,
school.
gosh, don't even get me
I don't
started.
know. But
That's
anyway,
the
we
dumbest
won't,
thing.
we won't go there. But
Yeah.
I'm glad to see that game come back because when I was doing
great
games
matchup.
for Summit City, and Jake, you were doing them. That was the game that we did that started the year.
Yeah.
And that was the most
matchup.
viewed, most
Every
watched
year.
game
I
in
remember.
the state. Seriously,
Yeah.
in the whole state, we would have 25,000 people.
I remember.
Yeah, that was the game. So I was disappointed when they did away with this. I'm glad they're playing it, but I think that game will be much closer. So I think it's probably going to be maybe north by a field goal or 4.
Okay. Southside at Dwenger. Joe, coming right back to you. Your alma mater, the Archers. Swami says Dwenger by 24.
I think that they'll win by more than that. I hope Southside. I'd like to get on the bus with Rottweiler tomorrow, but that's probably not allowed.
Is that
FWCS,
Rottweiler,
but-
has he been fixed yet? Or are you,
No,
are you
nasty.
bringing all his parts?
I'm bringing all of his parts. I'm going
Okay.
to be as nasty as can be. I don't think FWCS would let me get on the bus with a Rottweiler.
Or the
But-
SPCA or any of the
Yeah,
other,
anyway, any of the
or anybody
organizations
else.
that
How
I
about
always get
you,
along
Jake?
with
What are your
will.
thoughts?
I got the same sentiment as Joe. I think it's more than 25, unfortunately, but it's not about the point spread in this game. It's about how South looks towards the end of the game and how they
Correct.
respond.
Okay. Leo DeKalb. Swami says DeKalb by 7. I think even without Nate Foster, this is a hell of a game. Your thoughts?
I agree. Edge to DeKalb, I think 8 or more personally, but if Nate Foster's healthy and can go the whole game, I think it could be closer than that. But
Joe, Leo is 12-0 all time against DeKalb.
Dude, that ends tomorrow night. I think DeKalb wins by 14.
Okay. Woodland at Adams Central. Swami says AC by 49.
It's not enough. What was that one year when you had the point spread?
It was
60?
63 against
63
Southern Wells.
against South.
You about wrecked your car when that came over the
It was unbelievable.
radio,
It was
didn't
the
you?
greatest. It was the greatest point spread set ever. And, it hit.
And they hit it right on the
And I
mark.
about wrecked my truck. I had a
Okay.
new truck at the time. I'm going to say I think AC that's Woodhead, and nothing against Woodland. AC is just all that. I think that's going to be a.
There's
big
also
number.
that idea though of keeping people healthy, pulling people out. It's in the week 9. You know, I'm talking about AC's
Sure,
perspective.
that's a
You
good
get
point.
up and
Playing
you're
the
like,
quarterback on
how
both
many
sides of the
points
ball.
do we need to
Yeah.
score here? We've got bigger things in front of us. What are your thoughts? I would be tempted to take 49 points in the Woodland Warriors, but how do I know?
yeah, nothing against Woodland. I just don't think it's enough. I think even subs come out and keep scoring, man.
Okay.
AC's a
I
machine
think
right
one
now.
week we should do some teasers. You know, can I tease Adam?
Tease
Central?
that action
Can I
up.
tease Adam Central down to about 42? And then can I tease Dwanger down to 7?
There are no teases here.
Teasers. Okay.
You're not at the Fremont Casino.
That's right.
All right, Jake, coming to you. Angola at Eastside. Swami says Eastside by 13. This is a tricky one.
Yeah, I don't love Huck Hasselman, love what Angola's been doing, but man, I think Eastside wins by more than 13. I just think that QB read counter and QB read power is just going to be too much for Angola to
Hard
take
to
a hold of.
stop.
It's
Your
hard to
thoughts,
stop.
Joe?
I'm going to say it's going to be razor close. I think it's going to be a 3 or 4 point game.
Okay, so you're taking Angola on the
Taking
points.
Angola
I
with
love
the
it.
points.
All right, Joe, coming right back to you. Why don't you pick a game from the undercard? Is there one on there that you that jumps out, or Jake, either one of you, and you can go on campus?
I'm going to pick one high school game, and then I'm going to go down to college. I
Okay.
think that the Whitley playing Norwell, I think the Whitley needs to really step on the gas tomorrow night.
So you're laying the 33 for the
I'm gonna lay
Beagles.
the 33. I don't want to go down to the. You guys know how I feel about the bone flex or the flex bone or whatever the hell you call it. But you know, I'm tired of that. I wish they'd put the spread in. But I think that's a game where Whitley has so much talent, so many great kids. Hats off to Jake and what
Senior
those
night.
guys are doing.
Yep.
What those guys are doing out there with the youth and the middle school is just phenomenal. Whenever I go out to the Whitley, I'm blown away. Like we talked about Noah, Noah Geiger. There's so many great kids coming up. I think McDivitt is very talented. I love Gavin Smith. He's the Ed Reed of the 260. I think that's a game where the Whitley kind of needs to get well before the playoffs and needs to get some confidence. And I think they're going to absolutely unload on Norwell tomorrow night.
Okay, you pick a game from the undercard, Jake.
Cherubusco at Fairfield. I think Busco wins this, but I think it's going to be a closer game. I think it's going to be within a score.
That game's going to be over quickly. Will it not?
It will. And
Will there be like 3 passes total?
probably, I would say
The
you would
over-under
take the
3.5?
under on 4 passes for
Okay.
sure. But it's going to be, these are 2 great tackling teams, open field tackling. It's going to be a physical game.
All right, one game each from the college ranks. Any thoughts on the Swami spreads at the bottom?
I think your boys are going to get a game Saturday night, Notre Dame. Notre Dame's missing a couple of defensive players. I believe they're missing a D tackle and a defensive end, if I was reading that right today.
I think they
and
pound the piss out of those cheaters.
and
You know, it was
those-
20 years ago was the Bush push. We watched that game down here. It was Morris' first birthday.
yeah, should have been a penalty.
And
on
they,
that.
yeah, that was Matt Leinart and the Bush push.
The Bush push.
Charlie Weiss was the head coach of Notre Dame.
SC,
I think Notre Dame covers that 13.
SC got some confidence last week against Michigan. SC looked very physical. Notre Dame's missing some guys on defense.
Fair enough.
Now the defense has been better. But
It has
was
been better.
NC State. Now it's USC. I think that's going to be a close game.
You could be onto something. How about you, Jake? You want to pick one of those?
Purdue at Northwestern. I think Purdue can win this game.
There's going to be like
I
12
will-
people watching that game. No one
I
gives a
will
shit
say-
about Purdue at Northwestern.
Northwestern.
If you take the Geiger's, head count out of there, there's like 4 people watching that game.
Northwestern has one of
And
the
his
most
goats.
famous strength and conditioning coaches, and I think that's helpful. But I think Purdue has a chance to win that game.
And then what about IU, Casey? They cover the number.
You know
I
what?
bet
That spread's 27.5. Swami said IU by 31. So I think they cover the biggest spread, maybe 31.
He always likes to lay the wood. I mean, you know how
I love
he doesn't take the foot off the gas.
Well, the whole clan will be down there for that game. It's going to be fun, and the weather's going to cooperate. Well, listen, guys, thank you for coming down. It was a lot of fun again. What a great high school football season. We'll get together during the playoffs, and we'll talk some more high school football. For Jackson, Jake, and Joe, I am Casey. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to Around the Fort. We'll see you next week. Press stop, Jackson.
I did. It's not stopping.